Hello and welcome to the HomeBhoys live phone-in show here on a Monday night at 7:30 on Hill Media on Spreaker.com. And for those of you who are listening tomorrow or whatever time day you're listening to the download, have a good day at work or whatever, or that bird in the train across the road across me on the street is looking at you. Go up and say hello to her. Anyway, I'm just talking shit. So we're back. This week we got a full squad. Lately, we've been working on a skeleton crew because of many reasons. Some of the homeboys have had to travel great distances for great reasons, and some of us have just been hungover. I suppose Harper, is that? Yeah, it's a reference to you, mate. So we're here, we're back, and it's been a roller coaster, absolute roller coaster of a week. So we get stuck into it. Been joined finally it feels like this guy's been gone for ages. Like he's just come back from the Crusades. The Green and White Raider. Promoting his Asterisk Years book is back. Paul, are you there?
Ahoy, hoy.
I have these visions of the parrot and you on a sailboat.
Well, if there was the parrot was involved, it'd be the CIA, wouldn't it?
Sailing the high seas. We've been joined, of course, by Mr. David Harper as well out there, the king of Drogheda, the Larry Flint of Drogheda.
All right, man.
Out there selling his skin mags.
I'm actually on the diet 7-Up tonight. I'm not drinking. So.
You're on the diet 7-Up? Is that in tribute?
Aye.
Are you sick?
No, I'm fine, man. Just a wee bit tired.
And of course, we've been joined by the Wishaw's answer to Steve Cram, Mr. Jason Higgins.
How you doing? Right, who's making some racket?
It's Joe's breaking up.
Is it me? No, I'm not breaking up. I'm fine.
It's your mic's breaking up. I can see it flashing.
Is it me? Well, I haven't got a mic. My mic's just at the top of the screen.
I'm just saying it's definitely coming for you. Because you know how your name lights up when it makes a noise.
I'm the one talking all the time, so that's why it's lighting up.
I'm just telling you.
All right, okay, all right. Pardon me. Now, first things first, we want to do. We'll start the show off. We want to be serious for a second and send out our thoughts and prayers to everybody who was involved or caught up in the Clutha Vaults. Oh, somebody's mic's going crazy.
Oh, that's Paul now.
The Clutha Vaults tragedy that happened there on Friday night. It's one of those truly tragic and extremely bizarre circumstances that I only found out about it on Saturday morning when I woke up, and it was one of those. I couldn't really understand what had happened. But as it transpires, it's absolute. I don't know. I think the words to describe something like that. There, it's that awful. I mean, Jason, you guys don't know anybody that was affected by it.
No, at the minute, no. But obviously, there's still some. I think there's still some people missing and things. I don't know anybody personally at the minute. It's not a pub that I've been into a lot. I've been in it a few times, and it was a pub that was a right Glasgow characters pub. One of the very few right good music venue and things like that. And there was a band playing on it that night. But no, just echo what you say, man. Thoughts and prayers to everybody that's been affected by it. It's just one of these things that I know we go back to our mundane lives after a few days. If you've not been affected, you just go back to the way you always have been. But it's one of the moments in your life that you have to start cherishing every moment you've got, because you never know the minute, and you just need to live every day that it's your last. And people that you've not made up with and stuff like that, put silly things aside, because you never know. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's so wacky. You can't get your head around it, really.
Yeah, I want to send our thoughts out to Chloe Arthur, under 19 Celtic women's player who lost her father, Gary.
Yep.
He was one of the first that was pronounced. Well, named, one of the first dead that was named. And young girl like that losing her father, it's just horrible to even think about. But the one thing that I have noticed a lot of media outlets have been reporting on is just the character of the people in Glasgow who have formed a human chain to help people out of the pub.
And that's the thing, and it's like a helicopter that's went into it. So for the grace of God, the engine's not exploded, the helicopter's not exploded. But people, regardless of that, were just charging right in to do everything they could to help, and that's the spirit of Glasgow. And we maybe get shown up a bad light in a lot of places through a lot of unfounded crap and stuff. But we get tied up in our own. It's just the same as any other city, but in times of need, the people of Glasgow definitely rally around, and that's a great testament to, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest city in the world. So Just thoughts and prayers to everybody.
Just want to give a shout out here to Jim Haddo is here in the chat room, and just mentioned that one of his friends is in intensive care. So hope that works out for the best, Jim.
I know, and that's the thing. The people that are seriously injured in the hospital, I hope they get better, and just everybody positive energy. And if you like praying to God, say as many prayers as you can, and just hope as many people get through this, because it's just a terrible, terrible tragedy that you can't comprehend.
No, it's not like there's no finger of blame or anything to be pointed. It's just freak accident by the sounds of it,
Yeah.
But I mean, with just dire outcomes. But listen, that's all to be said on that. I mean, we don't want to dwell too much on that. And you can say positive energy, and there's nothing more positive than yesterday's result. I have to say that. So thoughts are out to everybody involved or affected by that terrible tragedy. We're going to move on to talking about the football. Are we going to go back to Milan last week and have a wee grape and then revel in the glory of beating Sevco Jr.?
I would rather miss Milan, but it's up to you guys.
All right, we'll have a quick count around. Like, I mean, were we just not good enough, or do we really need a striker that badly? Do we need a goal scorer that badly? We had 7-8 chances on goal and we got no joy. They had 4 and got 3.
We've covered this week upon week, man, about the striker. Like, no, it's clearly obvious to everybody. Like, no, there was a telling bit in the game where the camera panned to the Celtic dugout, and Neil Lennon was standing there, and he was flanked by Pookie and Baldy sitting behind him, and I think that tells the story. Your Champions League campaign. The 2 guys that we signed to score goals are sitting on the bench, and Andy Stokes didn't even start the game. So I don't know, man. There's been a lot said about the tactics, and I kind of understand why Samaras played up front, because I think we briefly mentioned it the week before that Brighton was putting in some good crosses against Aberdeen. I think maybe they thought maybe Samaras would be the man to with 2 wide men and put crosses into him, but it's never happened, and it's not the way I would have went. Like, no, I can see that's what Lennon was thinking about, but we're just no good enough, man. Like, no, I mean. None
of us could see Berigder and Forrest playing together last week. I mean, I remember none of us thought that would happen. But I think was that one of Neil Lennon's sort of curveballs he thought might pan out, and it just didn't.
I thought Berigder would start. After he came on, he kind of changed the game against Aberdeen, and I had a fancy that he would start the game.
I know, but I mean, did you think him and Forrest would play together in the same team against Milan?
No, I don't know. I never really thought about it that much. Like, no, but. I mean, I wasn't too upset. See, to be honest, I wasn't too upset when I seen the team. So I mean, it's alright to say in hindsight and that, like, no, but I wasn't too mad or that. I wasn't saying, "Oh, how's he not playing?" or whatever. Like, I got what Lennon was trying to do, but it just didn't work, man. And I don't know. I pretty poor Milan side, I have to say, because see, do you know what, man? See if you think back to it, right? We didn't actually play badly. I don't think.
No, I didn't think that either.
We had a lot of ball. I think with 53% possession at the end of the game. Which is still pretty good against AC Milan. Like, no, as you say, we made quite a few chances. Just need to put the ball in the net. The quality is a difference, but the defending was just, man, that was awful. Like that, Kaka will never score an easier goal in his life. Like, no, you're gobsmacked to lose a goal. Like,
I said to my brother, even before the ball hit his head, I was like, "That's a goal." Just one of those. I was like, "You just seen it happening." I was like, "Oh man."
He didn't even have to move. It was like he was standing on the park himself.
The ball just came at him.
I think I called the 3 goals sitting next to my big mate, and just before the goals were, I was like, "Oh!" And it was like the 3 times that they scored, you just could see it happening like a millisecond before it, and it was like our defence was just like statues when that ball got crossed into the box for the corner, and then for the second one, it's went by about 25 players, and just landed at the back post. He's got a tap in, and then Balotelli sort of does a wee bit of magic, and our defenders can, I don't know, they can think that they should have got the ball, which I think they should have, but it's a wee bit of class with Balotelli. But they're just better than us.
Yeah,
simple as that. I mean, that's 5-0 in aggregate to beat us. And we're saying it's a poor Milan side.
I know.
Well, puts into perspective, we're just not good enough at that level. As simple as that.
I also get the feeling that even if we had gone out there and played Roy the Rover stuff, that Milan would have had another gear. I mean, I think Balotelli we played really, really well. But I think he was probably playing at about 60%.
But let's not forget, this is a team that's sitting, 13th in the Serie A. We just sacked a manager. I mean, Jason, we matched them in Milan as well. Like, no, I think we said even.
But didn't they? They scored 2 goals. We get none.
No, but
same with Juventus beat us 5-0 in aggregate as well, mate. That's a big difference.
Yeah, you're going back to what you said before then, because you said last week that it's the best we'd ever played in Italy and we should have beaten them.
Oh no, in form and stuff like that. But then when you analyse it, it's all about putting the ball in the net. You know, and against Italian teams, people were taking it for granted. You know, and I picked Celtic to win 2-1 more in hope than expectation, but you kind of get carried away with it, and you think because of our great home form in the past that miracles can happen all the time. We're just not good enough at that level.
Yeah, I suppose there's not much to be said. I mean, like, plus the problem is this is another year where we're a team in transition, trying to bed players in and find the right players. So I mean, and plus it's something that we kind of have to get used to, I suppose.
Well, I think as well. I mean, the one thing I would say about the whole the Borector and Forrest and Samaras up front is what that actually did was completely nullified Lustig and Izagiri getting forward, because Forrest and Borector didn't track back, so they had to do that. Then, because they got three of them sort of just aimlessly wandering about, the midfield was completely overrun. And, you know, it just, I mean, it was kind of, I agree. I mean, I think it was certainly underestimated Milan. They're still a decent side. But I mean, the Champions League's funny because, you know, these people will say that now German football's the best team in the world, and the best in the world. There's Man United went over and thrashed the second team in the league, and yet didn't look any great shakes at all in the Premiership. So it's difficult to say, but you know, the thing about for me is that Samaras up front. I mean, we've seen it in Karagandhi. It just doesn't work. Yeah,
no.
You know, I mean, the two Milan centre halves probably had the easiest 90 minutes of their career because, at the very least, you know, I mean, it's funny actually. I was watching a DVD in 2002 season, and whatever anybody thinks about John Hartson, he just used to batter centre halves, and even if he wasn't scoring goals, he was fighting them. And Chris Sutton, they were fighting them all the time. Aye. And then they were getting free kicks and they were getting things and all that kind of thing. Samaras has got the physique of both of them, and yet still he doesn't do anything like that, you know. So
he's fine to get his hair out his eyes.
Aye.
You know,
and then he's too many times where the gloves are on the face, and there's that sort of bemused look as he looks at the referee and he looks at other players and all that kind of thing. And I've seen that. That's when he's at his worst, you know. I've seen it at Ibrox, when we've got beat and things like that, and when things haven't gone well, that's when it all starts, when all the histrionics start and all that, the theatrics all go. It's no good. I mean, we are at our best when we've got somebody playing in between the forwards and the midfield, and that guy's normally Chris Commons, who finds it a hell of a lot harder to do it in Champions League than he does in SPL, obviously. But when you take that out, because Samaras is basically dropping back into that position all the time, you're virtually saying, we're not going to score against you.
Aye. And you've got Borector, Forrest, Samaras and Commons that don't put a foot in. So when you're playing a top class European team that's willing to put the foot in the middle of the park, you're leaving yourself wide open. If they're all in their game, we could have ran Milan ragged, you know. If everyone had went for us, you know, and it's all right with hindsight slagging Lenny's sort of the way he picked his team and set it up, but he's done it for a reason. It's not worked, and you've got to take a gamble, I think, against these teams because we aren't good enough. Player for player, we're not good enough. But it's just a bit of gut, you know. And it's I don't want to start. I mean, you've seen all the message boards after. I think it's time for Lenny to go, and that you're like, wait a minute here. I mean, people were actually expecting us to qualify out the group, and you're like, no, it doesn't work like that. You know, we're 4 seeds in the group, so we finished 4th. It'd have been great if we'd finished 3rd or 2nd, which we did last year, but it wasn't to be, and you can't really sort of complain with the personnel we've got. Just like teams in the SPL can't complain if they get beat with us.
Well, I think a wee bit of the reaction as well, though, as people initially was because you realise you're straight out of Europe that night as well. You play for in the last game. That was a wee bit hard to take as well, you know.
Aye, I think the damage was done at Ajax away and Milan away, not taking our chances. We played well.
You'll never get success in the Champions League by default. You need to earn it, and it's a fine line again. Every time we've qualified for the last 16, we've deserved to be there. We've not been lucky. We've deserved to be there. We've had some incredible results. We've beaten the Man U's and Barcelona's and that kind of thing. It's not happened this season, and you're out, and that's it. And you know, at the end of the day, we sat here in August and we bemoaned the fact we never placed Tupper, bemoaned the fact we never placed Wanyama. So we can't say, well, we didn't see this coming. You know, as you say, pound for pound, player for player, we just aren't good enough to compete with the teams this season. Simple as that.
Yeah. Well, as they say, though, I mean, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. You know? Anyway, but
there you go. Very profound, Joe. Very profound.
I got that off one of them motivational memes on Facebook, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll be joined by our first caller. Now, I'm going to consult the Magic 8 Ball. Alistair.
I'm shocked.
Hey, buddy.
What's happening, Alistair? All right, mate?
How you doing, mate? You all right?
No bad.
You right? You were right, Alistair. It was 3-0. You got that right.
I rang wide in, mate. I don't give a toss. Tell that Celtic support at the end of the day. Unlike some of the clowns that run that crowd saying I'm not coming back, that's the season finished. That's what Lewis said. What's the point? Well, don't come back then, we don't need you. But
You're right, mate, you're right.
But some of the message boards I know, Jason, were a bit terrible. But anyway, I just avoided Twitter from a Celtic point of view and that. Anyway, but at the end of the day, the strikers haven't been good enough. They're good enough at SPL domestic level, but if we want to do something, as I say, we'll need to kind of replace guys that are in question. But would you guys spend money in January, or would you just leave it to the summer?
Depends on how things are going, I think.
I think who's available and stuff like that. I mean, they have spent money with Pookie, Baldy, and Barichter. You know, they've spent money. It's just no work to it.
But Jason, it's just my opinion. I'm very much out of Baldy and Pookie were Newell's first choices.
None of us know that, you know. So we can't. We can only speculate, mate. And they have spent a bit of money, but will they spend big money? Nah, there's no need to. And plus, it's a hell of a gamble. And plus, when you're talking about big money, if you're spending somebody that's going to cost a hell of a lot of money, they want to come to Scotland.
Aye, good point. But Paul made a good point when he said about Samaras and particularly Joe Leslie. Neither of the two players the last month or so has looked interested to me.
I thought Ledley was outstanding yesterday.
Ledley was
man of the match.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about in general, Jess. I'm not talking about just yesterday, mate. I'm talking about last.
Well, he didn't start Ledley on Tuesday, which I thought was his biggest mistake.
Aye, well, yes, I know how big a fan Joe Ledley am, so I hope it stays, but I very much doubt it. But we'll just wait and see what happens. But see, at the end of the day, if they want to go, let them go. I mean, we've replaced better players than Ledley and Samaras, so if they want to go, let them go. At the end of the day, it wouldn't be the first time we've replaced good players.
That's it, mate.
On you go.
No, I'm just saying, you're right. I mean, if somebody wants to go, they want to go. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens, you know. And it's Joe Ledley's for Wales, so he's not been brought up in a Celtic tradition.
If you look at his Twitter page, he's done nothing but tweet about Cardiff the last 3-4 weeks, and I just wonder, is that a sign? And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I just hope we get the double noon. I need to shut a few people up, and by the way, I'm glad they got Aberdeen.
Because it's been nice. Right. See, talking about players, Alistair, I think I'd be quite happy to see Neil Lennon hit the reset button a wee bit. If Ledley wants to go, he goes. Like, no, it's coming up. You can go in January, maybe get some wee bit money from him. Same with Samaras. Same with Samaras. Hang on, man. Hang on. Calm your jets there, man. Same with Samaras. Same if Kyle. If somebody wants Kyle, they can have him as well. I'd quite happily. We're bringing in these young boys, right? Roger, Beaton, even the boy Tajik. I'd love to see him getting a run. And not just we're going to win the league. We know we're going to win the league, right? So why not put a Tajik in there and put him in for 8 games, right? And if he's not good enough after 8 games, then well, you know he's not good enough. Let's get these boys are running the team, because we're bringing them in, and 2 or 3 games here and there, in and out the teams, it's not any use to anybody. Put them in. I'd be happy to put them in the team, give them a run, then we'll see if they're good enough. If they're not good enough, then they can go. Like, because I still feel like we've got quite a big squad. we're bringing in these young guys, and they're not getting any experience playing at under 20 levels or anything like that, whatever they bounce games and all that. I'd like to see some of them in the team. Some of the fans, maybe some of the results might go a bit pear-shaped, and people will not like that, but I think that's a wee chance we need to take, certainly with some of the boys we've brought in, because they're not really getting a chance like that.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, to me, the proof in the pudding with that Harper is Darnell Fisher. Look at the progress he's made with having games under his belt.
Yeah.
And that was a boy, when he came into the team, everybody said, oh no, he doesn't look that good, and this, that, and next thing. He's played 5 or 6 games, and he looks as if he's been playing there for years. So I think that's where you can really hit the rest of Scottish football. You didn't need to go and sign 6 or 7 players in the transfer market in January. Bring them in for the youth and let's see them. You know, Lennon talked yesterday about the fact that, you know, maybe this is the time to build a new team, and, you know, Team 1 was the one that competed last year and all that kind of thing. And it might be that kind of time, but, you know, in terms of kind of, I mean, you mentioned the boy Beaton. I thought he was fantastic yesterday.
Yeah.
See having somebody in the middle of the park that moves the ball quickly. What a difference it made to our team. Just keeping it moving. Aye. Just keeping it simple. I mean, in the style of Neil Lennon himself, keeping it simple, retaining possession. I mean, Hearts just could not cope with it. You know, they really could not cope with it at all.
And do you know what? I'd like to see us just pick a settled team. Remember years ago when you had like 15 players that played in the... If you had 15, do you know what I mean? You had your set 11 practically, it never changed much. And I'd like to see us run with our team without chopping and changing. And we've got a chance to do that now that we're out of Europe. I know we're still with Barcelona to play, but there's not going to be that many midweek games. There are just playing games at the weekend. And let's get a settled side and just have a run with some of these boys and see what we can do. I'd be happy to see that anyway.
See, another thing, one of the things that was discussed on one of the message boards, I thought it was quite interesting. It's this about transitional period. See, like in the market we operate in, it's probably we're going to be in a transitional period forever.
Yeah.
You know, and because anybody that stands out, and when you're looking at Big Virgil, you know, and then you're looking at Lustig. So you wouldn't be surprised if teams come in for they two, because they two are, I think they're a quality. But maybe Chris Coleman's on his game as well, but people maybe just judge it because it's Scotland. But I think Lustig and Van Dijk and Big Fraser Foster, the three of them would be your 3 guys that stand head and shoulders above the rest of the team. So an English Premiership team, a Bundesliga. I think nearly all Celtic fans would be for that, because if we get any more of that stuff that we watched yesterday, let's go on to talk about that, because it was phenomenal. Hey, Alistair, all the best, mate.
Alright.
Take it easy, mate. Cheers, pal.
Bye.
Right, so anyway, on to yesterday. As depressing as losing to Milan was, being put out of Europe was, yesterday was just an absolute, just a joy. Like, it was just brilliant. I was standing there watching it going like, do we look that good or are Hearts that bad? And the conclusion was we were just absolutely sensational. I mean, just absolutely big total football, if you want to call it that. It was just brilliant. And I'm not even exaggerating, you know. Hello?
Yep.
Yeah. I thought you were making a point.
I was trying to make a point. And then I
No. I mean, first of all, before the game, I was talking to a Jambo, and he was bemoaning the fact to me that with the bookies, Hearts were 11-1 yesterday. I don't know if he was on it after the game, but I totally agree with you. I think that that's the most dominant I've ever seen a Celtic team in any game I've ever seen in my entire life, and I didn't say that lightly, because everything worked, everyone played well, everybody finished well, could easily have scored more, but it was a total and absolute leathering, to which, I mean, you just had to look at the Hearts fans in the stands to see the look on their faces. They could talk about young teams and lack of experience and all that. They never expected that. And, you know, I think clearly the manager sent the players out with a task to send out a message to the rest of Scottish football after Milan, and boy did they do that. And I mean, it was just one of those great Celtic days, you know.
I would agree. To me, that's the best I've ever seen a Celtic team play in my life. And I don't care who it was against. I kind of asked myself the same kind of question, Joe, but it was just phenomenal. And I think Joe Ledley to me was maybe man of the match, but you could argue 5 or 6 of them. Yeah. But I just thought some of the goals we scored were sublime, and I thought Ledley for, was it Commons' second?
Oh yes, we played him in.
Aye, when he played him in, I thought Ledley for it was Lustig's. No, it wasn't Lustig. No, it was Ledley for his own. He's only made his own. Remember, he brought it in for the inside, and he played it out to Lustig. Lustig crawled it in. Oh, I mean that was. Then Lustig's goal. I thought Anthony Stokes' wee backward pass.
Brilliant, yeah.
For Commons' was it?
That was for Ledley, no?
It's very confusing.
No.
Who's on third?
Ledley's was the Ledley one. He made it himself. He played it out to Lustig, and Lustig crossed it in, and he finished it at the back post.
He played at the Beaton, and Beaton played at the Lustig, and Lustig played an absolute sublime ball across the keeper.
So that wasn't Stokes' wee. The one Stokes done the reverse pass.
That was Scott Brown's goal. Scott Brown's first goal.
Aye, it was Scott Brown's goal. Aye, it was phenomenal.
He put your man on his arse, like. It's brilliant.
Absolutely. And it was, see how fast Celtic were, and how it was one-touch football, and just Hearts were, you're right, Paul, ran ragged. They didn't have an answer, and it was a treat to watch. It could have been double figures easy.
Oh, I was hoping for that. But then part of me was going as well. Part of me was thinking, if it stays 7, that kills tomorrow's opening song. No problem. You know what I
mean? See when it was at 7, I was actually looking at the clock saying, how long have we got to go, man? Because
I know.
You're a bit disappointed that you didn't say that.
Tell me something, Paul. A wee question, Paul. Being for Edinburgh, right? See the high bees, would they have been gutted if we get 8 because they took their record?
Aye, it's funny you say that because I got as the game was kind of unfolding, there was quite a few Hibs fans started texting me. First they were in kind of like, this is absolutely fucking hilarious and all that kind of thing, and then as it got to 7, they were like, you do realise you've just equalled the record defeat for Hearts, and I was like, aye. And I think, to be honest, then they wouldn't have liked it at all. 7-0 was enough. I mean, it's one of. I mean, to me, like, one of the things. I mean, Hearts. I think Hearts fans are like Alistair Campbell in Scottish football. They try and put a positive spin on absolutely everything, and that's the first time I've literally seen them and just been like nothing. Everything was gone. They're just the game. Just Celtic were fire. I mean, I was keeping a couple of guys updated for the game. One guy had to go to his. I think it was his brother-in-law's 50th, and he was furious with the fact that who the fuck a party on a Sunday. So I started texting the goals, and at half time he says, "You're fucking winding me up, aren't you? There's no way we're winning 5 out at half time." It's no, it was just one of the imagine you could feel it in the air, and it was brilliant at half time as well. They brought in the half time draw, Jimmy Sanderson. And he couldn't actually speak about the game. The voice says, "Well, Jimmy, what do you think?" He's like, shell shocked. And that was it, you know what I mean? It was just one of the things. And, for all the heat and bile that come to at the start of the game, the Union Jacks and Nazi salutes and all that kind of thing, to just see these people being deflated and leaving and all that, and all those things. And at the 5th goal, so many people being held back by the police in the Hearts end, Raymond trying to go in the park and all this kind of thing. When I see that, I always think they must be doing something right,
Fantastic,
absolutely brilliant. It was like, I mean, the thing is, you could argue a case for about 5 of them to get man of the match, but it was that good. Whereas the Milan was so deflating because there was too many of them off the game at the one time when you need to be. Everything just clicked against Hearts, and it was just, if we can play that tempo for the rest of the season, I do think the crowds would flock back. Maybe people would disagree because the league's got to be over, but how good is it watching football like that?
Oh, it's fantastic. That's a really, really good point. Because I think if you really enjoy football and you really want to go and see Celtic, you'll want to go and see Celtic play really good football and see that's great football to watch. It's great entertainment, and it's brilliant. But I don't know. Will it work? Will it get the crowds back if that happens? Or are people just not disinterested in the league? Do you think now? Put it this way, Harper. Right? Let's look at this. Can you tell me how many points Celtic have right now without googling it?
Do you want to know? Just bring James in. He's been there for about 10
James!
minutes.
Jesus, James! You know what I mean?
How are you doing? You alright, mate?
I thought it was Chick
I'm,
Young.
I'm actually surprisingly
How
brilliant.
you going to moan tonight?
I'm not going to moan, I'm fucking excellent tonight. And that's,
Well, we'll be
it is
judging
me,
that.
by the way. It is me, and I'm not on any doubts. Can I just say, Paul, hopefully that's all the pressure off you now, mate, and you can relax.
Yeah. To be honest, I had meetings with every brigade in Ireland in the last couple of months, so I'm no pressure whatsoever, mate. Anybody can come ahead now.
And I just hope that Harpanats took it sounds a lot better, so you can take the black cross off his door now. He's fucking dying for a couple of weeks here. So is Joe and Jason, hello.
Alright.
Just to say, brilliant yesterday. I didn't go because I fucking hate that place. And I was at the league game and we won 3-1, but I decided not to go. I wasn't going mental giving it all. I missed it. I was just giving it fucking a dancer. To hear them shouting, singing, you only shagging the chapel or something like that. I could hear them shouting and things like that. And just to fucking shut them up and rattle the bastards. It was just brilliant. And the way we done it, everybody was a star on the day. I thought Bitton was good, steady in the midfield. That's what we needed. And obviously Lustig's brilliant. He's a very brilliant Ledley, but it was magnificent. The only thing is, my mates were texting us for the game, says they were wanting, the whole end was wanting 10. So that was a bit disappointing for them, but we still beat them anyway. And we were brilliant.
I think song of the day goes up when the Celts go up to lift the Scottish Cup. You'll be dead. You'll be dead.
The best one is the BBC. If you're watching it, I don't like watching them, but there were bits where they were on about how it was never a penalty, and
Willie Collins,
like that. It would only been 6-0, you fucking idiots, know what I mean?
Oh man, fantastic. But that's the thing though, see when it's that good, you can't complain and then we kind of run out of conversation.
But see, getting back to the Milan game, the difference in the teams, do you know what was quite weird about their defence, especially the centre defence? I don't know if we can blame it on this zonal marking push, but the 1-0 game they had this season had to be against Milan, especially the first goal with Kaka, and they were rooted to the spot, and the guy had plenty of time, free header, goal, and obviously they have off days, but I think players, if it was zonal marking, players that are as good as Van Dijk, you should be allowed to do their own thing.
I think Van Dijk's
you know what I mean?
One of Van Dijk's biggest assets is how well he reads a game, and like I seen him there was against Aberdeen. We seen him there the other week, and you can just see it. You can just see how the guy moves around the pitch. He reads the game so well. And if I let him do that, don't constrain him with any sort of rules. And in fairness, see that defending, like that performance, it made we made AC Milan look better. It's one thing getting beaten by AC Milan, but it's one thing in making them look good when they weren't really that good.
I agree with that, Joe. I think, see the thing with zonal marking, if you're playing zonal marking, the opposition to exploit it need to have somebody who can put the ball in the zone that you're no marking. It's as simple as that. Milan can do that and Hearts can't, and that's kind of why it'll work, you know what I mean? You see where Kaka scored that goal for is exactly in the zone where we're no marking, so therefore he scores a goal, and I think that's why we all stand there and think, Christ, that's the easiest goal in the world. The Hearts were certainly never going to be capable of doing anything close to that yesterday, you know what I mean?
We've got a tweet here for Tim1. He says, "HomeBhoys, come on boys, great result. Humiliated many Huns, but fuck me, it was a youth team." So I think he's suggesting we're getting carried away. Has he got a point, or
he might have a point. At the end of the day, you can only judge. You can only sort of piss with the cock you've got for what it's been. At the end of the day, that's the only team we were playing. So they might be a youth team, but they're professional football players.
So, somebody's actually tweeted Jason earlier, just as I came in the house and I put on the computer, that Hearts' average was 22. I don't know if that's true, and yours is 25. If that's true, it's hardly a fucking youth team against a bunch of old men.
At the end of the day, if Hearts had money, that wouldn't be their team. Fair enough, but at the end of the day, it is. We've seen Celtic going to second and third division teams in cups. Do you know what I mean? Struggling to break them down. And it's like they were up for that. It's 11 guys that can play fit. But I'm no. At the end of the day, it wasn't a Champions League game. All right, so he's got a point there. But at the end of the day, it's a Scottish Premier League team, and how many teams have and won convincingly this season.
It's the Hearts team, by the way. I know they've named money and they've named players. They've beat Hibs home and away this season. They've beat Aberdeen home and away this season. They've done United. They're not that bad, you know what I mean? They're still... I mean, you know, we had to rely on a wee bit of class to beat them at Tynecastle in the first game, so I don't think you can take away from what Celtic did yesterday. You know, I think they would have done that to anybody on that front, quite honestly.
And Hearts' defence as well, it was never a penalty.
Oh, no.
I thought Willie caught him with a shocker, by the way. See, when you analyse all of these decisions, he's a numpty.
Well, that's how you know that things are going your way, when Willie Collins on your side.
Aye. He's a numpty, but so at the end of the day, if you want to get down or up, and I've already had a text for one of my good mates who's doomed up constantly. I'll reserve judgment. He's like, I'll be reserving judgment until we get another good performance. So, fair enough. You'll get folk. I mean, people are questioning Lenny. People are questioning, but I think it's unfounded if you're questioning Lenny based on a Champions League form. His resume was to get us there. He got us there, and anything else after that's a bonus.
Yeah, that's all great.
Yesterday was, I mean, it was a big game because of what happened in Milan and the eyes of a lot of people.
Yeah, and how many people were calling that out before it, Harper?
Right,
I mean, everybody was calling it out before it because the pressure was on.
Yep, definitely 100%, man. I mean, we're on Celtic minded. You read some of the stuff, and you can. If that result hadn't went well yesterday, there would have been people demanding Lennon out the door. That was that big a game. In my eyes. And I'll tell you what, somebody chick texted me before the game. He says prediction. I said 3-2 to Celtic because I was expecting one of the just mad cup ties, like end to end stuff and that. But as soon as the first goal went in, I thought, no, we're going to do it today. I never seen the performance coming like that because it's just not been there this season. Do you know what I mean? Games have been quite flat and boring at times, but we're still unbeaten in the league. You can't really get away from that. Like, no, and we're still in the cup with hammered hearts. Like, not a better team to have it, by the way. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Do you think this is a formation and we should be playing if it stays like that, or? I know you're saying
this is going to sound stupid after scoring 7 goals, but we still need a striker to play regular independent.
Well, that's the thing. There's no striker scored yesterday, is there?
No, Stokes didn't even get a goal. I thought actually Stokes played pretty well. Like, his link-up play, but that's the kind of thing we're talking about. That is what Stokes is good at now. He seems to be that's the player he is. But you've got Commons for that, you've got Samaras for that, you've got Pookie for that. They're all playing the same role.
Tell me this. So I started to get the feeling Pookie might be cursed. Because nothing seems to be going his way. Like, I mean, and he does seem like a half-decent player.
He does look like a half-decent player. And the thing is, man, we've seen it before, guys coming, and maybe it takes them months and months to settle into the speed of the game, or just to get... All players are different. Like, you don't know how he's settled into life here and all that, man. The guy could come on and be a good player. Because I'll tell you now, he was getting dogs abuse in the pub yesterday. He's not really looked upon very fondly by a lot of Celtic fans at the minute. But I think was worried to have that player at the park.
He looks as if his head's doing a wee bit now as well. He looked a wee bit resigned yesterday. I just hope. I mean, end of the day, I'd like to see Big Baldy get a run. Mm-hmm. He's hardly had a chance.
I think
he scored a few goals, but he's not had any games in a row.
That's Jason, just coming on with 10 minutes to go and that's not any use. The guy needs to start a run of games and see what he's got, man, and let's let him beg him.
But he's the kind of striker we need at the minute, I think. Somebody big and strong, because he's extremely strong. I'll tell you what, he's clearly a good finisher as well, because his 2 goals have been great finishes. So, I mean, he whatever it is, he's got some sort of... He's got a lot of talent by the looks of it for scoring goals. You know, and he's big and he's strong. I just think he'd give him 3-game run and see how he gets on. I don't know. Maybe we can do that now the rest of the season. Because the season's a given, more or less, you know, so...
It's time to maybe Lenny to make some tough decisions, you know, because if he's talking about rebuilding his team, is it the end of the road for Samaras, who has his talisman in Europe, basically? You know, is it a clean-out he's going to be looking for? You know, I don't know. You've
signed Borictor, Jason. You've signed Borictor, so is it Borictor or Samaras, like, no?
Because, well, the thing is, he's no... Paul called it out. Samaras isn't a centre. No way in the world.
And another thing is, see this thing about him being a European talisman. I mean, when was the last actual European game, proper that he had an impact on? If you take out the qualifiers, you're talking Benfica away over a year ago before he scored a goal. He's done nothing since. He's not scored a goal. He's not set up a goal. And there's only so long you can persist with that, And I mean, I like him, but as Harper says, you kind of think, did Lennon have in mind that Samaras wouldn't be here, therefore sign Borictor in the first place? Because there's no really room for the pair of them, I wouldn't think.
Borictor's an out-and-out wide man. I mean, that's what he is. He's just an out-and-out left winger. Like.
Aye, fucking double wide. Shite.
Yeah, welcome back, James. That was good. That was a good 10 minutes you gave us there, mate.
No, he's not done it for me. I mean, Milan game, fair enough, he didn't hide. He tried to get stuck in and things like that, but he's not shown anything to me, even when he came on again. If you looked at the Milan game, what goal me was, first off, and Celtic were shooting towards the other bit, he's aware he was gaining him a ball. So he's aware of the ball back. He's aware he's beating a man on the byline, gaining him back, and he's gaining it fucking back to he's aware. No, you beat the man, you're the fucking winger. And a couple of times he tried to date for pace and cross, but he wasn't beating the man and going through. If you're a winger, you've got to beat men. And he's not doing it. And it can't be a lack of confidence. You're playing in fucking Europe. This is the biggest stage that you're going to play in.
I said in the pub on Tuesday night when the team swapped it, I slammed my pint in the bar. I'll tell you he's all right now. Borictor, man of the match. You can imagine some things that were getting said to me later on. Like,
see, do you think he's another one, but he's not really had a run?
It's the same as Jason. He needs a run. He needs a run of games. I thought he looked good when he came on against Aberdeen. Changed the game. He got a lot of good balls in, but. At the minute, if he'd bet a man and put a cross in, there'd be nobody there to get it on Tuesday night, So I don't know. It's another guy that needs a lot of games, I think.
And the thing is, as well, see the way Celtic shape up. You called it again, Paul, earlier. See when you've got like an Azagiri and you've got a Lustig, two guys that like galloping up the wing. It negates your need for having a winger. Because see if you've got a winger, then they're no galloping up the wing because the winger doesn't cut inside and start defending. Yeah. So if Azagiri's running up the outside of him, what's he doing? And it's like you say to yourself, so how do you set up a team if you've got two attacking fullbacks? You can't set it up with two wingers as well.
No.
Well, you need to realise, you've got Matthews when he comes back. He plays a winger alongside Lustig, so that's another one.
Aye.
See, the good thing,
sorry, Harper. See when you had like Jackie McNamara and Simon Donnelly. When McNamara getting up the wing, Donnelly wasn't a winger. No. Do you know what I mean? He played out there, but he would cut inside, and when McNamara would go up, he would sort of pull inside, and it's like you kind of need if you've got somebody bombing up the left wing, the left fullback position, you kind of need somebody like a Scott Brown, sort of out the left or whatever, somebody to play that side, or like Samaras maybe, because he pulls inside and things like that.
It works with Samaras.
You're right, because he's not an out-and-out winger. But when you've got out-and-out wingers, backs, do you know what I mean? Because it's like there's no point in having fullbacks that getting up the wing, and that's what Celtic are built on that.
Aye, I mean, if you've got attacking fullbacks who are going to bomb down the wing and get crosses in, you need to have somebody tucking in behind them so that if they lose the ball, the person who loses the ball has to then beat somebody else before they can penetrate. And we didn't have that, because if they went forward, Borictor and Forrest ran on the outside of them, and B, our midfield was basically Mulgrew and Kaya, then it was Ledley, so you were basically with a two. And that they two then couldn't go drop out, so then you had that kind of. So it was just never going to work. It was that lopsided. I mean, I know it's hindsight and all the rest of it, but if it was me against Milan, I would have put 5 men in across the middle of the midfield and just had the one man up front. And if it was Samaras, I would have said to him, free roll across the front, and then have your two fullbacks bombing forward, but at the same time have your three in midfield to ensure that they didn't overrun you in midfield. Because sometimes I think we get caught up in the fact that, we have to win this game, we have to win that game. And a draw never enters our head, but sometimes, you've seen it, how many times have we seen Milan come to Celtic Park, and then after 60 minutes, they say, right, you know what, batten down the hatches, we'll take a 0-0 here. And we didn't seem to have that thing, we end up losing goals away and all that kind of thing. And sometimes sometimes you've just got to box a bit more clever and think, all right, listen, it'd be 60 minutes gone, if it's still 0-0 or whatever, maybe we will just take a draw and move on,
See the lack of signings and that. It's came back and it's bit us in the arse. To see the Champions League this season, it's a season of ifs and buts for us, right? Because if this didn't happen, we'd signed this, we'd done that. If Bruin hadn't been so stupid, Britain hadn't been sent off, we were a match Kaka, and Kaka wouldn't have been man of the match, because I think Bruin and Britain would have been right in there with him. But it's just, it's if and buts, we didn't have a striker, we were weak in midfield. Now, Paul, we put 5 in midfield against Milan. We weren't good enough anyway. They wouldn't have been good enough, I don't think. They had them, I think, they're still
When did we do that?
The Milan, you're saying you would have played 5 across the midfield.
Aye.
Against Milan. But they're not good enough.
Why? How are they not good enough? How are they not good enough?
I don't think they are. Unless you're not get Brown and Bitten there.
If you look at last season, I mean, I'm not saying we're good enough to go and beat Milan, just go and play, and I think that's the problem. We went out to try and play against Milan on Tuesday, and we weren't good enough to do that. When we beat Barcelona, we played that solid midfield who chased everything down and basically wore Barcelona down. We never done that on Tuesday. We've tried to feed the ball out to Boructor, feed the ball out to Forrest, who then tried to feed a ball into a guy who doesn't want to hit it. So there's no rocket science as to why you're not going to beat them. You're never going to beat teams like Milan at football. We never ever. If that's Barcelona, all right, Milan's not as good as Barcelona right now. But I'll tell you, if that's Barcelona, we would never have played like that against them. We would have just been like, oh no, if it's Bayern Munich or it's Dortmund, we would have sat in and we would have tried to hit them on the break, hit them with set pieces and all that kind of thing. At the end of the day, Milan's an experienced European side, and we're kind of trying to be that. And the only way we'll be that is to actually box a bit clever. I mean, we've seen it in Milan. The first game, we could have just closed that game out, but we kept chasing it, and eventually we lose. We've seen it against Barcelona, where we make a stupid mistake, we get our captain sent off, and we lose the game. That to me is the things that we know we cannot compete money-wise, and we know we're not going to have the players. But these are the things that we should be able to level ourselves out on by being a bit more streetwise and a bit less naive.
Yeah,
I think that's part of it.
I agree 100%. I definitely agree 100%, Paul. And you're right. We sort of underestimated Milan because we would never have played like that against Barcelona. Never in a million years. And these teams kind of know how to play us because they'll be saying to themselves, right, they've got a great record at home. They'll have a go. Their fans will demand that, they'll go gung-ho a bit. And that's why they played against us. It's just sort of sat, picked us off. They don't panic. They're there for the long haul. They don't panic. They're built for the Champions League, where we are still naive. And then we can't really blame Lennon because he tried what he thought would be the right thing. And if the stars of the line, that might have been, So it's all right for us sitting here a week after the event to say, right, this and that. But I genuinely do believe that for us to compete with these teams, we need to have, 9 men behind the ball, fighting for absolutely everything. With maybe one outfield luxury player that maybe something can happen with, but the rest of them need to get behind the ball, and everybody's got to put a shift in. If we've not got everybody putting a shift in, then you're up against it.
I mean, to me, a comparison is the current England international team. I mean, a pretty average team. A couple of good players that are maybe coming to the end of their careers and whatnot. But Hodgson has got them to Brazil. No playoffs, got them to Brazil, knowing full well they aren't good enough to win the World Cup, knowing full well against a Spain or Portugal or something, and they're out. It's as simple as that. But they went through that group and they got there. They never slapped anybody, but they're there. And they played within themselves and their capabilities, and that's kind of what we need to be looking today. Is because, as you said before, we're always going to be in transition. We're always going to have players turning over and all that kind of thing. But the system can remain the same, and the philosophy can remain the same. And that's what it is. I mean, I do think at times we're probably. I mean, look. We're in the SPL, we're expected to thrash everybody every single week, and then to switch it on and go into a different level where suddenly the teams that are above us are far better than us. It must be so hard as a football player to do that. I mean, it's as simple. I mean, there's Hearts on Sunday done exactly what we could easily do in the Champions League. We could easily lose 4, 5, 6, 7 in the Champions League to a team if we just never turned up one night.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that sometimes, you know what I mean? But as you say, it's a good sign that we're all moaning because we got beat off Milan,
Aye. I know. I mean, they're I don't know if any's watched it last night. Athletic Bilbao at Barcelona. 1-0 Athletic beat Barcelona, but they're a team in transition, and plus, even they've not got Messi in their team.
Aye.
You notice their tactics have totally changed. And Athletic were worth that victory. Whereas 3-4 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that. They'd have been running Athletic ragged, but they're starting to play like long balls and things like that, and you just say to yourself, this is, I don't know, this Blaugrana or whatever, it's like, is he totally changing their sort of philosophy, the way they play? Iniesta, Xavi getting a wee bit old. It's a sobering thought when you watch them, because they're definitely not the team they were, when obviously they're missing Messi.
I think, what Paul was saying earlier, I think probably, I don't know if he's all agree, it's obviously about tactics for us, and it's about more experience. We get in every year to Champions League, and we're going to just start getting more and more experience in how to play these teams, and match them every game. Doesn't matter what team. Look at their tactics and see Milan's different from Barcelona, they're different from Juventus or whatever, and just start playing, not to get beat at the beginning, then for it. And that's the way we've got to do it, because we've not got the money to spend, obviously, but and it's just about experience with our manager too.
Aye, I tell you, what the Scotland thing for me is, you've already mentioned it. Look at our defence and goalkeeper. We can do it. We have got 4 top quality defenders in our team. We've got a top quality goalkeeper in our team. There's your platform right there. So all you've got to do is get your midfield right, and then have somebody that can put the ball in the net up there, and you could be gone and competing with anybody in Europe at any given time. But unfortunately, that we, like anybody beating us in the SPL, there's a lot of variables that need to go our way for us to keep doing that. But we've seen we can do it, and we've seen what we're capable of. And the signs are there for me that we can, with the right players. I mean, as you said, maybe time to get rid of Kyle and people like that, and obviously Mulgrew's going to play no matter what. But, certainly I just think we're certainly a bit naive against Milan to honestly think that effectively you're playing 3 players in the team who aren't going to track back and aren't going to defend, and let's face it, aren't really going to do anything when the going gets tough.
Aye, I know, and I better put my hands up as well. I know I've sort of not been Mulgrew's biggest fan in recent times, but I thought he played excellent yesterday. And I've got a bee in my bonnet about Lennon shoehorning him into the team. They play him in goals if he had to, and I've got issues with that. But he did play well yesterday, so hats off to him, because he was good in the middle of the park.
See on Tuesday night, was none of you thinking, let's just switch Mulgrew and Ambrose? Ambrose stepped out to the ball a few times, and he was taking boys on as he does, because he's good at gliding past players, and he just thought maybe that's a guy who could create something for us. And Mulgrew can slot back in there. We know he can play at centre half. Maybe it wouldn't be as good as Ambrose Van Dijk partnership, but I wouldn't mind seeing Mulgrew. If Mulgrew's got to be in the team, I wouldn't mind seeing him stepping back into the centre of the defence, and Ambrose. I honestly thought this season Ambrose would have took that position for Wanyama. Kind of took over that role, because he is good going forward. He is good at taking players on. He can score goals. We've seen him get the odd goal, And I just thought that was someone we could have switched on Tuesday night.
You know what, Harper? That might well have been the plan all along. But then Wilson decided in August that he was leaving, and I don't think anybody really at Celtic was prepared for that. You know what I mean? Because clearly, if you think back to that with Wilson, remember he played in Elfsborg. Next minute he's gone. Yeah. He didn't even wait for the second. So. But I mean, Ambrose, I think that one of the things on Ambrose, and I noticed this again yesterday, is he's injected about 2 yards of pace into his game. I mean, he's literally he was 2 or 3 times Hertz players had 3 or 4 yards on him, and he just outstripped them, no problem whatsoever. And it's good to see him settling down, because the last season.
Aye, I know. So what do we think of the draw? Aberdeen home in the next round? I think it's a plum draw, and I hope the crowd's turning it. I hope Celtic price it correctly. Probably, I don't know, you'll be looking about £15 for an adult, probably.
You would hope so. I mean, Aberdeen will bring a good support.
They'll bring 5,000 if you give them 12. I think you do. I think we give them more anyway, don't we? For a cup game, we give them more in allocation. So let's hope we get the place bunged out, and as I say, £15 or whatever. I hope it's a Saturday 3 o'clock. But you never know. It could end up being It could end up being on the telly on a Sunday, and it's just a bloody nightmare.
Do we know when that game is? I've never seen
it. It's the weekend of the 8th and 9th of February.
All right.
Aye, they've not come out by saying what's the live games and stuff like that.
Do you not think that's a bit bizarre, by the way, that we've got the Scottish Cup starting in November and the next round's not in February?
What was the reason for that, Paul? There's a reason for it. I can't remember. I read something.
I think it's to do with trying to minimise replays and all that kind of thing. They have much more time, the winter and stuff. But there was a big debate about it on Saturday, Sunday, I think, on the radio about how certain teams, i.e. Motherwell and Ross County and that, I mean, their seasons are effectively over.
Aye.
In November, and so it's a kind of weird one. But then again, I mean, I know it's talking about Scottish Cup, but we touched on. Celtic have decided to move the home game against Kilmarnock on January 11th to the Wednesday, January 29th, which I just find utterly bizarre.
Yeah, we requested it. So
yes.
What's the reasoning behind this?
To give the players a break.
What about all the guys for Ireland that have already booked their flights and stuff like that? Give the poor players a break.
Bear in mind, we've already got a game against Partick Thistle on the January 1st, which Partick have refused to move, meaning travel arrangements are at a minimum on New Year's Day, obviously.
Yep.
And their season ticket holders getting shafted again,
I know. It's just, and I noticed one of the threads, quite a few guys for Ireland and that, they booked their flights in advance, to get all the cheaper deals and stuff like that. And I know not one fuck was given.
Aye.
It's terrible,
That's a surprise.
But that's the way it goes these days, and it's. I don't know. But one thing I'm in favour of, I know the guys that come from far away, but I'm looking forward to Friday night. I don't know what you think of the old Friday night game at Fir Park.
See, for the likes for myself, right, being here, that's brilliant. I love Friday night football. And the Irish, the League of Ireland obviously plays Friday night football, and they moved to that in the summer because they were trying to attract more fans who know what it's, instead of sitting in the pub watching Man United on a Saturday and that, and to try and bump the crowds, right. They moved to Friday night football. And I'll tell you, man, it's great. It's not great for travelling, obviously, after you're working at, but for a home game, for me just to walk up to United Park there and watch Drogheda, it's great, a few pints and that. And I'm looking forward to this Friday night, just going up to the pub, a few beers, there'll be a good crowd in, it's a Friday night, everybody's looking forward to the weekend. For people watching it in the pub and stuff like that, it's brilliant. But it's the same just thing you're saying there, guys travelling and all that, it's not great for that, but I'm looking forward to it, obviously, for my own selfish reasons.
Aye, I don't know. So, Paul, you're obviously come from Edinburgh and stuff like that. What about yourself?
I mean, it's for me personally, it's a nightmare because you can't get out of Motherwell too directly to Edinburgh without going to Glasgow. I was obviously over in Larne at the weekend, and it's bizarre because you didn't even think. I actually noticed this with guys from Larne. I was talking to a couple of guys, and 1 minute the accent sounded as broad Belfast-like as you could imagine. And then suddenly a Scottish lilt would come into it, and I thought that meant that some of them had come from Scotland. It got told to me that Larne's 20 miles from Belfast and 20 miles from Stranraer. But they're obviously relying on the boat and all that kind of thing, and they're all desperate for that sort of, they just need the notice. I mean, I know John Paul Taylor said on our show a couple of weeks ago that they were looking at doing a season ticket with 10 games on it. The key to that is the 10 games being set in stone so the guys can book their travel months in advance.
Aye.
Because these guys, I mean, these are not your fair weather supporters. I met guys, it was every single week home and away with Celtic, spending fortunes. They were at Aberdeen game, then they were at Milan, then they were they had 4 tickets for Tynecastle, they were going to go there. Hardcore fans, and they can't just afford. And I've seen Gary McGeady tweet about it, they can't just afford to just be like, we're just deciding to change a game because our players need a holiday. So you're kidding me? They've been in Dubai about 8 times each already as it is.
Yeah, I know. See, I mean, I don't know, you remember last year, I had the 5 guys from Bilbao over. They came on the Friday and went home on the Sunday morning. But the game get moved 2 weeks before it or 3 weeks before it. So they missed the bloody game. So I was on the phone to Eusebio over in the Basque Country last week. And I was asking him, because I don't know if you've noticed, nearly most of the Athletic home games are on a Monday night. And La Liga's get Friday night, Saturday through the day, Sunday all through the day, and Monday night games. So I says, what's Athletic? He says, well, that's the Spanish FA. He says, because Athletic's the only team that could get viewing figures of over a couple of million if they're playing, if they've got a home game. They'll still get, because people in the Basque Country don't live near Bilbao and that, would still tune in. And he says, we're the only club that could get the draw for that. And he says obviously they want Real Madrid and Barcelona to play prime time, Atletico Madrid as well. He says they three teams, and he says then you've got Valencia would have a big support. So he says outside that you would have us, and he says they just shoehorn us into a Monday night. So about half this season they've played Monday nights, just into TV. Absolute brutal.
I mean, also the fact for me is the game, they've switched the game to January 29th, which everybody in the planet knows is the day or 2 days that people are most skint at more than any other time in the year, because they've had to buy for Christmas, and normally people get paid just before Christmas, which means they've got 6 weeks without a wage. And Celtic said, right, actually, now we want you to come to a game 2 days before you all get paid again. Just a wee bit of thought, and I'll not say who, but I spoke to a Celtic employee there about it, and he said sometimes we could be our own worst enemy.
You're no kidding.
But
they don't think of stuff like that. I mean, in the month of January is when people are most skint.
But then again, is another symptom of what happened the other week, which talking to Jeanette, saying like, are the people that out of touch that they just make decisions based upon what they think and not what's real? You know what I mean?
I just don't think they consider the ramifications. I don't think they've got the foresight to think about stuff like that, or they don't care.
See the people who make the decisions, they're never fucking skint, so it doesn't bother them. But as you say, they're driving, you can see the crowds getting smaller, and they know that, and they're trying to work out ways how to do it. And I know Jason's come up with stuff, and other people come up with good ideas about what do we do. Do they make a 3-match package and you throw in, the Champions League home games, you throw in a cup game, things like that. You've got to do that to get the people back. There's lots of things you should be doing.
Here's something funny, James. Sorry, I bought in there. But I think it was Brendan that phones the show up, lives in Derby. Yeah. He tweeted me, he's trying to buy a ticket for the Thistle home game in the first. So if somebody can maybe come on and confirm this. But I don't think the Celtic website was showing any single match tickets. You had to buy a 3-match package.
Aye.
So I don't know if they put. I mean, have they not got the foresight to say, right, you can still buy a single one, but there's the option of this 3-match package? I mean, you can't tell folk if they're only going to come to one game, or they're only back home in Scotland for one game. They need to buy a 3-match package.
Well, I mean, there you go. That might be your answer if you're really cynical. I mean, you would say that like the Hearts game, which is just before Christmas, the price is, I believe, £31 before you pay any of the fees, and these are the games that people come back for. For their holiday, if they come from Ireland or America, and suddenly the prices go up, and Celtic are saying, if you want to go to that game, you've got to go to these other two, even though we know you're not going to be here.
Shocking.
I mean, surely no.
Any one bit of sense, Jason. It's just completely bizarre.
Nah, and like at the end of the day, they've got as much management information as they need there. As a football club, you've got trends, you've got spikes. You can analyse all that data, and you can get an Excel spreadsheet, and I could work it out for them. And you can see this is your spikes, this is when your crowds drop, this is when the crowds are at their highest, and these are some of the reasons behind it. This is if the team's up the top of the league, this is if they're maybe struggling. This is that. And they could work all that out. It doesn't take a genius to work all that out. And then they can profile it, and then they can actually put a package together that fits. Rather than just, right, 50 quid kids season tickets, which is great, I'm not complaining whatsoever. Give 100 quid off your season ticket. But be a bit more inventive. Be a bit more package things up so that it suits different people. Because at the end of the day, 100 quid off your season ticket is good for me. It gives me a 100 quid bonus. But I would have bought the season ticket regardless. There'll be people out there can't afford season tickets that are looking for something else.
Are you subtly trying to apply for a job at Celtic?
That's what I was about to say.
Seriously, but that's no rocket science. Anybody could do that.
I know. There's 10,000 empty seats every weekend.
The thing is, the season runs for the same month to the same month. You play the same amount of games and you play the same teams. You can work that out in an Excel spreadsheet that tells you your average crowds. It's no rocket science. Honestly.
Do you know we could moan for this? See, the thing is, we could moan. No, I like to moan, but as a group, as you especially, we could moan every week about what Celtic should be doing with the fans, i.e. to make the match experience better that they keep going on about, and they don't do it.
Well,
They don't care.
they're doing bits of it, mate, to be fair. You know, we
I mean,
can't.
that's-
Aye, there is positives. There's positives there. It's not just like let's get on to them, but especially what Jeanette was on about the living wage and things like that. That's things. Paul, you weren't on that week. Jeanette was on, weren't you? No,
No, I wasn't. No.
and that's something you feel strongly about as well. You know, the way she
Yeah.
was on and explaining how Celtic should be the market leaders for stuff like this. And this is the things that fans is a we believe are part of something more than a football club here, and this is Celtic's got an opportunity to show the fans that we are more than a football club, and by giving something up. And you know, if we've got boards of directors that are all multi-millionaires, does it take a genius to work out? They'll be quite far removed from your normal punter that goes to the stadium week in, week out.
Yeah.
But they can maybe realise. I mean, they might have just done well for themselves, and they might have been the same as the rest of us throughout their life, which is fine. That's brilliant. More power to them. But don't forget where we came from, and maybe start trying to make a difference and implement this living wage and make your employees feel part of something special, and then show Celtic what we can achieve. You know, and it pisses you off. You know, it pisses you off. Loads of stuff does.
No, I mean it does, because I think that too often the answer for Celtic is to say, "Oh, we'll throw $5,000 at this and $10,000 at that." You know, it's short term stuff that doesn't really. I mean, you've got. Yeah, I mean, my thing was, you've got a problem with the catering. Everybody's moaned about it. Everybody said it's cost too much money and it's all shite and whatever, blah blah blah. To me, the obvious answer is you employ a food bank charity to do that catering, and they supply the food. They take over the contract. And the only stipulation you make to them is you can only employ people from the East End of Glasgow, within our postcode. That's the only stipulation. And you take the area with the highest rate of mortality in Western Europe, and you try and lift them out of poverty. At the same time, every time we eat at Celtic Park, other people eat, because the food bank benefits and the people who work there benefit. And Celtic, you know, I'm not like, that's not an original idea of me. There was another guy who tried that. It was called Brother Wilfred. You know, he changed the game for the East End of Glasgow when he introduced the penny dinners in 1884, where people could go and get a hot meal for 1 penny. Now, yes, that was to, in some ways, stop the influence of the Protestant soup kitchens, who were getting people to change faith so that, you know, so they could feed themselves and all that kind of thing. But it's absolutely staggering to think now that the poverty in the East End of Glasgow remains the same. It's exactly the same. 52% of the children live in extreme poverty, which means they do not know if they're going to be fed from one day to the next. We have a life expectancy in an area around Celtic Park of 52 years of age. 52 years of age. Yet if you live in Milngavie, it's 81. I mean, and that's all on Celtic's doorstep. And as you say, you want to be more a football club, you act like being more a football club. We are a cash-rich club, and we could create an environment around Celtic Park that would make Brother Wilfred proud, and he would maybe stand up for that statue instead of sitting down and make a difference in people's lives. And let's no wait on the fucking Empire and their Commonwealth Games to need the area to start throwing money at the area. Let's actually empower the people of that area to give the support to Celtic. Because if people want to know the kind of people that are in the East End of Glasgow, what I would say to them is this: every time we do anything, whether it's unveil a manager or a new signing, these people are at Celtic Park welcoming them. You see the passion. That doesn't happen at any other football club in the world. Nobody goes to their football club during the day and says, "Oh, welcome Robbie Keane, welcome whoever," and they're there and they show the passion. They were there with Mark Neal and that kind of thing. We need to empower these people. We make a difference in their life, and who knows, it might start a snowball effect. And show the world that this is what we're all about, you know.
Yeah, I hear, Paul. Well said, mate. No, I 100% agree with you. And while we're on the subject of like food banks and stuff like that, we need to bring up our good friends for the TikTok podcast, the Luke Shamrock guys. They must have been listening to Tara when she was on here for the Maryhill Food Bank, because there's a Clydesdale Food Bank. So they are doing a collection in St Athanasius Hall, where they have a lot of their TikTok shows, between 7 and 9 on the 16th of December. So all tinned and dried foods. So anyone in the area, I'll pop up to that myself, because it's not that too far. I know it's out into out in the sticks for where I live, but fight through the wilderness and make it there. Maybe take a buffalo on my back or something like that.
Only place in Scotland I've been, I can't get a phone signal. Unbelievable.
You can't. But no, fair play to the boys in the Carluke Shamrocks. As I say, between 7 and 9 o'clock in St Athanasius Chapel Hall, all tinned and dried foods are welcome. So, as I say, maybe that's the legacy for Tara coming on here in the Maryhill Food Bank, and it's maybe raising the profile for, because I know the guys listened and then they were asking about, is there a local food bank, and they've done a wee bit of research and they've found out, and obviously they're taking the bull by the horns now, and maybe literally, maybe they've killed a couple of bulls as well, but they're getting it on the road. So well done to the Carluke Shamrock guys. And
can I just add something to that as well?
Totally, mate.
There's a St Margaret's, which is they're probably the biggest club in Ireland, based just outside Drogheda here in Duleek. St Margaret's Supporters Club. They're having a do on Saturday night on O'Neill's in Duleek. They've got Alan and Pat for Shubin, and they're also on the night. It's a homeless aid, they call it here, and they're going to be collecting tinned foods, and go up your packets of peas and dried pastas and all that kind of stuff. The exact same kind of thing that you would donate to a food bank. They're having that here in Duleek on Saturday night. I think that starts at 7:30. In O'Neill's, anybody around about this area will know it well, So they've got Alan and Pat Fisher-Bean, who actually, I think they're playing in Dublin. They're playing in Quinns on the Friday night with Nate Podrick CSC, because after the game, and then they're coming through here on the Saturday night. They're actually staying in Drogheda. So anybody who's in this area, get yourself up to that in Duleek, and bring your tinned goods and donate it to the boys. That's going to Homeless Aid here in Drogheda.
I was in the Neve Podrick yesterday watching the game.
What's that?
I was in the Neve Podrick down in Quinns.
Well, yeah.
Yesterday watching the game.
How you doing, lads? All right?
Oh, Jesus, here.
The parrot.
I forgot.
He's Mr. Malcontents back.
Sorry. Here. I have the intro, ladies and gentlemen. Hill Media's very own Sinbad, the parrot.
Were you sailing the Seven Seas with Mr. Larkin recently?
I don't do boats now, mate. No, you wouldn't get me in one of these things. I seen there's a wee dry dock near where I live, actually, and there was a boat out the water getting some water. Or gaff, you're not going to know it, mate. If it doesn't fly, don't get in it, sort of thing. No, it was just to give a shout out for. I'd obviously tweeted the show. Gary Sniper, he's got one of the boys, Bud Boy, has donated a signed, framed 2003 Seville top, signed by Martin O'Neill and Bobo and Henry Larson, etc. Just there's raffle tickets going for it. It's a £5 a ticket. If you go to Gary's, his account is Gary Canuck, Golf Alpha, Romeo Yankee, Charlie November, Uniform Tango on Twitter. And we've done that 2 years, still got it, baby. If you go to his Twitter account, you'll get all the details for it, and all the money raised is going to the Amsterdam appeal, lads.
I just retweeted that for the
nice
HomeBoys.
One, thanks, David.
So anybody they'll see it on the HomeBoys timeline as well. So.
Just to give you a wee bit of transfer rumours, I know I've not been ages in game yet.
Oh, there we go! Tell me, where's the sheriff coming back?
This is obviously I was in the Admiral for a Mellow Birds last week. I seen Liam, and obviously I bumped into Jason on the high street before the game.
When you had that big loyalist jacket on.
GQ quote of the year, that was, my good friend. I would tell you
in 1995.
I tell you, Larkin and Graham Wilson were sitting in the Gorbles. I went, if I walk in wearing an orange Stone Island coat, I'm going to get lobbed out a window. So I stayed
with ICF coming around the corner. It was a parrot.
So it gets worse. I bumped into the capo of Crackpots, Tommy, and his friend who works for a very famous club who we're going to visit in a few weeks. And his friend Albert is actually going to be our manager's interpreter for the game over at the Camp Nou. And the rumour is our goalkeeper is moving very, very soon, somewhere very, very warm.
Right, can you be a bit more specific?
No.
Well, you sort of guess where Tommy's pal works for.
Can it be Barcelona? Because I were the on Celtic mind that says it's freezing there. Now that game we played them there.
Barcelona gets cold as shit with us. Barcelona gets very cold.
Over a bit of agency work and get a couple of Calar gas eaters put in the goals for big players or something like that, I think. But no, that's it. And obviously Bangura's coming back. You know what I mean? That's me sorted for Christmas, my stenciled onesie. It's all looking good.
Is he coming back? Right enough.
Aye. I'm not very proud. I mean, I just obviously I heard you guys Nick saying the nice words about the obviously the tragedy at the Clutha. So it's affected me through a few folk. I know my pals actually flies those helicopters, and by the grace of God, he wasn't on that night. I text him and get a text back within a few minutes. But my brother, and there's a few guys that listen out to the show, Stevie and the Glasgow taxi boys, they're all running everybody about for free if you were.
I've seen that on Twitter, aye.
No, if a Glasgow taxi driver does your turn, I can tell you, I think.
Black hacks, I know.
Because Bangura's come back, my brother's in a happier mood, he'll probably take you to Aberdeen for nothing if you want, since the sheriff comes back. But no, that was it, lads. The only other thing is, I've seen in the chat room a good friend who usually phones in. Celtic's already, probably a guy on the show, the New the Green White Writer, will probably tell you Celtic's already been up, supposedly sniffing about that boy at Dundee United and been laughed away because he's going to England and going to get loaned back to Dundee United for a year.
Right.
No, it's not. Well, I don't want to break any confidences, but there's been a definite change in attitude for our manager towards that player. So, I don't think they'll have been rebuffed either. Let's say that. Oh, the hold off am I getting Bangura on the back of my onesie here laughing? I mean, the guy you're talking about is obviously. I mean, here's an interesting fact for you. The guy you're talking about, Ryan Gold, was not spotted by.
Why are we not allowed to use his name here?
Voldemort.
He was not spotted by the last manager, Peter Houston, at the club, who, when he left the club, said there is no young talent whatsoever coming through his club. Peter Houston has now been employed by Celtic to scout young talent. What that one is?
I seen it. I listened to Mark Wilson. I think Mark Wilson was on. He was on Radio Scotland, and he said that Ryan Gould's the best young player he's ever played beside. And he says he played beside McGeady and Maloney. He says McGeady had all the tricks. He says Maloney had all the pace. He says Ryan Gould's got everything.
Mm-hmm. That way, so, ball we put through. I've not seen a ball put through like that since John Collins wore a hipsip. I've never seen anybody doing like that. But no, that was just it, lads. Cheers for letting us on briefly, you know what I mean? But before I go, I really enjoyed Paul's book launch last week in Edinburgh. It was very civilised.
You're fucking up my segue part. I was going to bring in that next.
Right, you know me causing aggro. Right, listen, I'll sign off, boys, and thanks again for retweeting that, and I'll hopefully see you all soon.
All the best, mate.
When the keeper goes to the Camp Nou, at least I can get one right this season. I've got you get a goal and me getting a rumour right, but there you go.
Keep it on fire. Alright, take it easy, Steve. Love it. Anyway.
So just before you move on, we've got a tweet, right?
Yes.
And we're not getting many tweets on as well. We're asking the questions that are coming. North Sea Tim, our good friend.
Francis.
Right, says, what qualifies you for a food parcel? Just out of interest to see the comparisons with Holland.
You need to be referred there.
Yeah.
By the Social Security or a charity organisation or whatever. But you need a referral to actually to go and collect. You can't just walk into a food bank and say, "Here's a parcel of food."
I think what works here. You can go to the social welfare officer here and you can ask for assistance, and it depends on your circumstances, and they can give you a check on the spot. But if you don't really apply for that, it depends on say your wife or your husband is self-employed, they won't give you that assistance. But what they will say to you, listen, what you can do is go here, and you can get food basically.
I was under the impression Tara said they wouldn't turn anybody away.
I also thought as well, because she was even talking about working families who just can't afford to feed themselves now. So.
But there's no absolute rules. I imagine.
You didn't have to be unemployed.
Mm-hmm. You must be desperate in the first place to go to these things. You're not going to turn up with loads of money just to get some tins.
Exactly.
But I wasn't under the impression you had to get anything. I was just under the impression you just turned up.
No, it's not like a free for all. No, it's not a free for all. You can't. It's not like you can just arrive at a certain time and there's just food for you. I don't think it works like that. I think it's kind of...
Well, I've misunderstood, because that's what Tara told us when she came on.
Yeah?
No, there are
different. Maybe they're all different.
I don't know. From what I know, I think it's like, you can go in and you get what you're due. You know what I mean? Or and if you're older, people will bring it to you as well. You know what I mean?
No, see, the thing is, if some old body comes in and they're thin looking and, dishevelled looking and that, and they're going to look, I'm starving, no, they're going to say no. You can't, you couldn't turn them away. unless it's probably an official government thing, I could see them doing that. But not one of your food banks that's running normal people. I think you would give them it.
And that's why I think security, but it's nothing to do with the government.
Yeah.
It is and it isn't. Like some people don't. I don't know. It's hard to kind of.
I don't think you need anything, guys.
We're not saying.
Definitely not.
I'm not saying you need it. Like,
I mean, I tell you right now, if you didn't need anything, they would be done within about 2 days. You know what I mean? You basically, if it's an official food bank, like an official charity, then they have to get government thing to get, up and running, and therefore they need to take referrals. There was a programme when because they caught a boy who was actually working and he had money and all that, and he was pretending he never had anyone just to get the food. But as James says, I mean, it's not like you're getting a hamper for Fortnum and Mason. You know what I mean? It's the most basic food imaginable. So. I would think that it would run out quite quickly if it was just a kind of free-for-all,
Yeah.
I can also say that Tara was talking about trying to get toys for Wayne's, but she was asking for second-hand toys, which I can see your point. You don't want to give Wayne's on Christmas Day, all falling apart toys, but just if anybody can give them good toys, that would be good. Just to figure that out there.
I'll tell you what, there's a thing over here now in Ireland that whereby St Vincent de Paul have come out and said last year they needed €20 million to fund the amount of people coming to them for assistance, and they say this year, and this is like 1 year, 12 months later, this year they need 40 million.
Okay.
That's the level of need that's out there, right? And I'll tell you what, I'll give you a real sobering story. Last year, my wife had to call Vincent de Paul, and I was doing articles on Vincent de Paul, and she had to call Vincent de Paul for someone she knew who didn't really want to call themselves. But it turns out next thing, through misorganization and through confusion, we wound up getting a parcel on our doorstep for kids for Christmas. This is Christmas time, which wasn't a thing we were looking for, but it just happened through confusion and cross wires. And we opened the bag, and I swear to God, it was like some building blocks, some of that really cheap Lego, a doll from the pound shop, and a wooden train, and that was it. That's Christmas Day. That's your Christmas Day in a bag.
Do you remember when your mum and dad used to tell you what they go for Christmas? And it was a sixpence, and they'd a stop and an apple. This is what it's fucking like.
An orange.
Aye. Now, can I just say, see if anybody's on Facebook, especially Facebook, but I think you get it on Twitter, there's 2 sites to look up. One's called ATOS Miracles, right? And it's they bastards that's throwing people off. The sick, there's dying people, there's spina bifida people, cerebral palsy, there's all sorts of different people. And this gives you the stories, and it tells you about the fight back. The other one is obviously Axe Bedroom Tax, which is good because you hear all the stories between the two people. There's been thousands and thousands committed suicide or died because of it. I think it's very important for people to go to these sites and have a look at it yourself and hear the stories, hear the fight back, because there's a fight back out there, but obviously the media isn't fucking telling you it, and it shames all these politicians who voted for the bedroom tax, and these bastards are all getting an average of 25 grand a year extra because they've got an extra room or an extra house, or they want to heat their stables up for their fucking horses. And so it's quite good. So again, it's ATOS Miracles and Axe Bedroom Tax.
Well,
good.
I mean, in fairness, we live in a time right now of such great connectivity and such access to information that, I mean, in years gone by, the coping class, as they're referred to now, or the working poor, would have just kind of been rolled over and forgotten about. And now we have the ability to just kind of, there's a voice. I'm not saying we're a voice, I'm saying, but there is the option of a voice now. You can those stories and those feelings can get out there. That's important. But I want to change tact. I want to go over to Paul Larkin and talk about his whirlwind tour of the Asterisk years.
Yo. See, just quick, can I Jason, will you jump on the WhatsApp?
Aye.
Oh, bit of sex texting.
Oh,
hey! Tell him. I just sent you pictures, Jason.
Tell me.
No.
He's obviously talking about either me or you, Paul.
Aye, definitely.
I'm keeping fucking out of this one.
Oh, here, listen, we all talk about you anyway.
I can't go, fire away.
Anyway, Paul, listen, you've been
Yes.
you've been around the world and I can't find my baby. No, it was a joke.
That's the story of my life, Joe.
So, how is the tour of the book been? I mean, you've been everywhere, and by the looks of like your Facebook and your Twitter, it's been quite an.
Aye, it's been fantastic. Obviously it started off in Glasgow, and I think they always say the toughest crowd in the world is a Glasgow crowd. There's no doubt about that. And then just was over in Dublin. That was fantastic. Meeting people from all over Ireland and Kerry and people like that, and it was just fantastic. To be in Dublin and to be doing a show in Dublin, talking to people in Dublin, fantastic. Done one in Edinburgh, which was exceeded all my expectations. It was much more people turned up than I thought there would be. It was an afternoon one, so it was a bit more kind of refined, if you like. People were less drunk, in other words, and but of course that they made up for that later on. And then last weekend I went to Larne, which I would have to say the world and their wife told me to stay cleary and watch my head and watch my back and all this kind of thing.
Larne's alright.
And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, got picked up at the airport, got driven in. People have been to Larne or know the first thing you see when you go in there is a massive crown, which was put up for the Jubilee, and just they decided to keep it there, and people complained about it. And so, they said, oh, well, no, we'll keep it up to 2015, so there's massive crown. It was in a pub called the Station Bar, owned by a great guy called Stevie, who made me so welcome. They put up a big projector for the stuff, the visual aids and that. Done a show there, which was absolutely fantastic. Met the guy, Martin Wilson, who's going to be the next mayor of Larne, probably the first Catholic mayor ever of Larne. It was put up by a guy called Gary Bergen, fantastic guy, who was the fundamental driving force in getting the first ever hurling pitch in Larne and hurling club in Larne, which of course the people are aware of Larne. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. And I was kind of made aware of the fact that when we went for breakfast in the morning, it was next door to Sammy Wilson's constituency office.
Oh,
so
Sammy
that's
Wilson's
the kind of opposition they're facing. But of course, as we all know, that kind of opposition means a kind of bunch of solid Tims that are fighting back against it, and fantastically warm people. So done that, it was absolutely brilliant. Went down to Belfast on the Saturday. Was sad to leave Larne, but it was nice to see a tricolour in all West Belfast, because Larne was full of the all Union Jacks and all the red hands everywhere. Went down through Divis into the Falls, met the Mayor of Belfast, Martin, the Sinn Féin Mayor, which was great. Had a chat about Amsterdam and the banners and obviously the tragedy in Glasgow and that, because loads of people, every time they heard my accent, wanted to talk about it. That was really good, and it was really humbling to meet a guy like that. It was somebody for somebody like me who's been a kind of like, oh yes, I've been Republicans all our life and all that, to be standing talking to a Sinn Féin Mayor of Belfast, I mean, this is a 20 odd years ago. They had one politician, Alec Maskey, in there who got spat on and beaten up and all that rest of it. To be standing, it was just incredible. And the difference in West Belfast over the years as it's grown has just been absolutely incredible, So done that, and then went into the Rock, Paddy McCourt's old pub, had a couple of jars in there, and then I got asked to go and visit a guy in hospital, which was just kind of like, and it turned out this guy had read a few of my books, and he was a huge fan of Celtic, and he was sort of, Vinnie O'Boyle his name was, and he's 55-year-old, he's on his third heart attack, and I was kind of like, because it's like when you go and you meet somebody in hospital or visit, you never really feel like you've got anything to talk about. I mean, just like, what an inspiration this guy was. His use of the language was fantastic. He was saying, he'd born brought up in Larne and all the shit that they've had to go through being, Catholics and stuff like that. And he would say that the one outlet, the one Jerusalem for us was Celtic Park, to go there and we felt like human beings once again and all that. I sat there for 2 hours, I could have sat there for 2 days. It really, really inspired me. And so for there, just went back to the airport. Had actually been in the Sinn Féin shop, had a crack with a few people in there and talked about the books and all that. It was great. And then I managed to buy Jerry Kelly's new book, The Escape, about the escape for Long Kesh in 1983. So when I went back through Belfast International Airport, which I'm sure you've all been to, it's not exactly the best.
You mean George Best International Airport?
No, George Best, the Aldergrove, Aldergrove.
Aldergrove.
And I went through the security and got pulled. The machine goes off, and I never had any metal in my pockets, nothing like that. And I had my first ever full body scan with all the nonsense with putting your hands up and all this, and the guy searches me thoroughly. And became much apparent to me that when he peeled my back, it was because I had the Jerry Kelly book, and he wanted to know where I bought it and who I spoke to and all this kind of nonsense. I thought, some things never change. But in terms of the whole thing, it's been absolutely fantastic. Met some fantastic people. The book has sold absolutely phenomenally. I can't thank people enough for the book sales. It's just been absolutely incredible. And we now move on to the next stage of the Asterix Spheres project, which is an and will be available on the 22nd of December to download. And then the next project is to do a documentary which will have a world premiere in Glasgow in May or June. So it's onwards and upwards with this whole thing.
Brilliant. Excellent. I mean, that's brilliant, Paul. I mean, the progress and the career that's kind of spawned out in front of you from just your own initiative, and in fairness, just most of your own stories. Just, more or less, your life has become your career, which I suppose it's kind of a dream job. Yeah, I mean, I think the difference with this one, Joe, is that most of the books I've written in the past has been books that fellow Tim's, good on you, well done, and pat you on the back, and sort of, I can relate to this. With this book, it's totally different. The information and trying to expose the Murray regime and all that kind of thing. People are kind of sitting there thinking about it, and so it's been a different kind of action. But it's definitely, as I said before, it's increased my kind of notoriety, but it's increased the level of support as well. And the people want to get in touch. I mean, I'm going to America next year to do the same kind of stuff. People want to be there. I'm probably going to New Orleans to do it. I mean, it's just been absolutely fantastic, but it's been people want to hear the story. I mean, it's not about me, it's about the story, it's about what happened to us, and trying to get that message out there. It was something, I had to sit on the story for a long time, and then I had to try and build it properly so that it was given a life before the book came out, and so that people were ready for it and waiting for it. And I think it's worked really well. You get abuse and all that along the line, but it's kind of par for the course because the support far outweighs that. And as you say, I mean, it's for me. What I always wanted to do was, I always felt conscious of the fact that my book launches and all that kind of thing might just have stifled other people to do the stuff that they wanted to do in terms of releasing books and all that. So by going in a different direction with audio books and documentaries for the next year or so, then I hope that other people can now step forward and bring their stories to it. But for me personally, it's been a fantastic journey. I've had a lot of sort of health problems and family issues over the last year and a bit. And this has really kind of restored my kind of faith in myself and kind of humanity. And I have to say, going to Edinburgh and launching a book was fantastic. We actually launched it in a pub which is just along the road from David Murray's local, which was deliberate. And we also to go and launch a book in the north and south of the island is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Jason will tell you, he was an absolutely massive help to me right at the start. We launched it in the Admiral, and I had doubts then whether we could, fill it and people would come and all that kind of thing. And Jason was a massive driving force in that. He was a massive driving force in hosting that and getting it on the road. To then have 18 months later 4 book launches in a month and fill them all and all that kind of thing, it's just beyond my wildest dreams,
Paul, can I just have one wee request for you?
Yes.
See the next book, don't put any graphs in it, right?
Aye, that's...
they broke my heart, man.
Aye, that's a creative process that fucking fans never see, Harper, do they?
Oh, how long do you think that you'll be promoting your book? How long do you think you'll be able to go in physically and mentally?
I would hope to at least next summer, James. That was always my intention, to get as much life as I possibly could. There's an interesting one being in Larne, actually. Being in Larne, I didn't realise this at the time, but there was actually 2 Huns in the pub. And one guy, he was quite aggressively questioning me, and I only realised after the fact that he was actually a Hun. And he was and it was good to kind of engage in that, because it was probably the hardest questions I had. He was going, could you stand us up in court? Well, why don't you sue them? And all this sort of shit. And I was trying to explain, well, who do you sue them? Did you fucking idiot, but just trying to get this, as I say, it's hard for me to take this on and then therefore go and regurgitate it and push it back out to people. What I've tried to do is, and I'm trying to do is get as much mediums as possible, books, documentary, because with documentary, I don't really see too much of it, but when I say a premiere, I mean a proper premiere in a cinema, no like in the back room of a pub or anything. This is going to be in a cinema next year. Things are already up and running with that. The audio book is going to be more than just the book. There's going to be a few sort of surprises within it. It's been really professionally made and all that kind of thing. The audio book was a really hard process, but at the same time it also gets easier the more you do it once you get into a rhythm. I suppose it's like doing podcasts or anything. But that's what I've been trying to do every year. Like 3 weeks ago, David Murray, through his lawyer, tried to get the book stopped. He tried to get it stopped off the shelves, and because of the people that I had around me, the lawyers and stuff like that, he failed in that, and that was a great victory for me. Other people have tried to get people to stop it by leaving. And you find out that kind of thing, and that kind of sort of inspires me to say, like, you must be doing something right if that's the kind of levels that they'll go to. But just to actually, speak to people about it and get the story out, and they read the book and they come back to you has been fantastic. But I know that doing it an independent way and doing it a kind of, from the kind of heel media sort of angle and saying, fuck the mainstream media and all that kind of thing. You have to work as many angles as possible. And the help I've had, like Harper says, Harper was working through his fucking holiday on this book, and I know we
on the flight, to be fair.
Aye, I know we always banter about things like that, but it's these things. Without these things, the book is nothing. Without these things, there isn't a book. Other people have helped me with the audio book, and people have put me up and all this sort of thing, and welcomed me everywhere, and it's just been absolutely fantastic, and it's been an incredible journey that probably started with being on this show, and then being able to get people coming forward and all that kind of thing. And what's then happened because of that is now I'm doing other stuff with the documentary and the audiobook. It's been so easy to get people to do stuff because people see what I'm trying to do, and also sort of see the fact that this is important for us. Because of, the other aspect which is coming to the fore is the fact that this isn't just about them, it's about us as well. And I hope that will come through in the audio book and in the documentary, that it's not just going to be a kind of slagging off your Rangers and slagging off everything. There's going to be a lot of bright aspects in it, and a lot of sort of surprise guests will appear on these things in due course, because I like to keep it fresh and keep things ticking over.
In fairness, Paul, you're one of the writers that has decided to make his name off writing about Celtic rather than writing about Rangers, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not interested in writing about Rangers, and that's, if you actually look in this book, I said to the source that if this was just a book about Rangers, then I wouldn't be interested in writing it. And he said it's all about Celtic. Everything was about Celtic. Celtic's mere existence. One of the aspects, when you kind of talk about why would you do this and what we were against, there's an interview that will be in the documentary with David Murray in 2001 where he talks about the need to sell Giovanni Van Bronckhorst for $8 million to Arsenal. And he says the only thing keeping us back to being as big as Man United is the fact that we're in the SPL. And then he pauses and he says, and to be fair, Celtic would be the same as well. And this kind of nonchalantly just throws us in at the last second. This was at a time when our turnover was double of theirs. We were pulling in 13,000 more people than him. We just won our second league. And this is the arrogance the guy still had. So, it's kind of like you're up against that kind of world. And even today I've seen Angus Grossart, who's a big part of the book, got another job as a head of PR company that's run entirely by RBS ex-employees. So there's people are still out there, but, the point of the book and the point of the kind of try to build a sort of collective movement is to be ready for these kind of people anytime they come and try and go after our club again,
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, for me, sorry to interrupt here,
go ahead, James.
this is what I was saying about our fans being more than a club, and the club not being the club that we should have, because the club, I've let them fucking away with it for years, and they're probably going to let them away again, and they're rolling over to their supporters today with last week with the banner and things like that, so their fucking supporters that are going mental at it, and yet our fans like yourself are pointing out the obvious that Celtic should have pointed out that these bastards have been cheating for years.
Aye. What I would say on that, James, I totally agree with what you said there, but what I would say on that is I've been assured in the last 2 weeks, I was asked this last week, that Celtic have not let that issue go. in terms of the EBTs and in terms of the licensing thing, that Celtic have not let that issue go and are merely waiting for their time. Now, I'm cynical about that because I think the Celtic silence last year allowed the media to condition the public for them to not get any trophies stripped off them. But I was assured, no, that's the case and all that kind of thing. I mean, I've screened a show for 2 or 3 private, probably quite important people, sort of movers and shakers in Scotland, who I never normally would have anything to do with, who are very interested in the facts and figures and all that kind of thing. And it's quite funny because before this book came out, I had people telling me what was in it, what it was about, and all this kind of thing. And all the people are silent now because they never knew anything. Also, I had practically every journalist I know in Scotland tell me that David Murray would have a fucking legal letter in my door within a day of that book coming out. Well, I'm still waiting on that as well. So, the truth is on our side, and people are suckers for the truth, and I think that's why. As I say, the book has sold absolutely phenomenal amount of copies, more than I could ever have imagined. It's currently 56th in the world in terms of books being sold right now. I mean, that kind of just blows my mind.
That's pretty powerful.
The first week it came out, the only book in the world that sold it was Alex Ferguson's.
And that's shite.
He outsold it by a hell of a lot, obviously, but then, he's been around the world, literally, he's fucking having major media and all that sort of stuff. I know that's because of people like you guys and people that listen to the show and all that, they go out and buy it and all that, because that's all I can do. Once I write the book and it goes out, it ends being my baby and it becomes the baby of everybody else, and I just need people to look after it, and that's what's exactly been happening. Of course, the downsides of that is I now pay tax in Ireland, in fucking America, in Britain, and in Canada. Every time somebody buys a fucking book through Facebook adverts, I have to pay tax in Ireland because that's where Facebook's European headquarters are.
But Paul,
and so on, and Paul, so on, and so on.
Let me ask you this about tax in Ireland.
Writing,
you're a writer, so I mean, your work is considered art. So there's a tax exemption in Ireland for artists of $250,000 per year, unless you're making 5. I don't know.
It's bizarre. I mean, I have to go through. I have to fill in all these forms for America because America just, didn't let me say that America will just allow you to do anything as long as you pay them fucking tax. But that's how it seems like,
It's fuck you, pay me.
and Ireland, Ireland has Facebook headquarters, European headquarters. It has Google's European headquarters. Yeah. So quite a lot of the things go through there. I obviously then get taxed on books here as well, which I have to say in the first week, unbelievably put me in the highest tax bracket in Britain.
Whoa.
Which meant a massive chunk just went badoom, whoosh, right away. And, for once I was back in a fucking Tory party to get these taxes.
You better qualify that by saying you like talking shite. Your sales will plummet.
I know, but no, it's no fucking been about the money, you know what I mean? It's never ever been about the money. I mean, Christ. In fact, and that's good because, I would have never had any. But, it's been a phenomenal journey, and as I say, hopefully we're just at the start yet. I've had some great people. There's some great people helping me right now today, the audio book and all that, and I'll reveal all that as time goes on, just want to make sure it kind of gets out there and stuff like that. But I couldn't have asked for it to go any better. There was plenty of knockers and begrudgers, and we all know who they are, and we face them every day and all that kind of thing. There's plenty of people in the Celtic world who, if you try and do absolutely anything, they'll snipe away and all that sort of stuff. And the people around me have made me basically bulletproof, and I can't thank them enough. And hopefully this is just the start. And there's one guy said to me, I mean, I've had the most two bizarre things I think has been happened to me in these book launches is that one person who made a really long, valid, serious point said that he hoped that this all ended with David Murray's suicide, which I think was quite bizarre. And I had another guy who put his hand up, very seriously asked me if I knew if David Murray's cock still worked or not. so I actually do know.
It still makes a noise in the morning and gets everybody up.
Exactly. But so you never know what's going to come at you. But as I say, I'm not complaining. It's been fucking fantastic, and long may it continue.
Oh, absolutely! It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's hard to explain the power of podcasting, I suppose, as well. I mean, because I only know you from podcasts, but now now I see this guy becoming this. I don't know.
Well, it's funny you say that, Joe. Especially in Ireland, I get people who come to stuff, or I meet who quote stuff for this show like that was said maybe 6 months ago. and it's kind of weird.
Oh, Gordon Gates.
Oh, yes! You know what's coming.
No, people just say, "Oh, this so," because, and it's really stupid of me because I know this as much as anybody. When you're not in fucking Glasgow or even Ireland, it means a lot to people, these podcasts, because it's that wee sort of bite at home that they didn't really get anywhere else. And for a lot of people, I spoke to guys in Larne who one guy in particular who bought a computer to listen to podcasts, and it's just in every single conversation you have, and it's just like what you said on the HomeBhoys, and then the member so and so said this, and it really means things, and we were live on air and all that kind of thing, and you think to yourself, this is fantastic, this is what it's all about, this is why we do it, to try and just help Tims and have a laugh and all that sort of stuff. And when you actually see that in action, because unfortunately in podcasts all we get is head cases like James phoning up, but when you meet people and they tell you and they thank you for the podcast and they love this and love that, it makes it all worthwhile,
But I agree with everything you say. I go into schools and I do like the odd time do podcast workshops, and I started off by explaining to them. I say, podcasts for me personally, nothing has brought people closer to other people than the invention of television. When you can see somebody in your own living room and you can watch them. I said, now you've got them in your ears, walking in the street, in the car, anywhere you go, and it's just and anybody can do it, and it's free.
Aye. And as Harper's probably heard, Kevin Smith says all the time that, and it's the only medium that's completely unregulated.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it, and you can say whatever you like.
I can say fart bucket, no problem. Anyway, but listen, it's brilliant to hear all that stuff. I love hearing, how good things are out there, for people like you. And people like us, Celtic fans, and making a difference, and that's why I sit here in my pajamas every Monday night and my Celtic slippers on.
Do you think, Paul, you can maybe add to the adage, but you only get what you work for? Because how hard have you worked over the last couple of years to create this?
It's a good question, because I do get a lot of people who get in touch who basically have written a book or wrote a book, and they ask me. And that is the answer, Jason. You're 100% right. It's just about hard work, and it's not just about hard work writing a book. It's about hard work. First of all, you have to have time for people. You have to build relationships with people and all that kind of thing. And they're the people that will support you when you need their support. And you can't be false for that. You can't act it. You've just got to be that person. And a lot of it is hard work. And a lot of it is preparing yourself for a lot of shite and preparing yourself for a lot of letdowns and all that kind of thing. But if you stick with it and you keep going at it, then anything is possible. I think people who give abuse or give criticism, I actually admire somebody who keeps going. That they eventually get a begrudging respect, and you can see that. And I often get people saying, "Oh, I used to remember that guy used to tell me to fuck off all the time," and that, and you go, "Aye, I do, you prick," But it's amazing you get that quite a lot. But at the end of the day, 99.9% of people are absolutely fine. You always get the odd idiot, but it is worth it. But as you say, hard work is the key to the whole thing. You can't do anything good in this world now unless you graft your arsehole for it.
100%. In any walk of your life, you get out of something that you put into it, and if you put nothing in, you'll get nothing out.
Yeah, exactly.
And people think this kind of stuff came easy. You just sat down, write a book, go on Twitter and do a couple of tweets, and the next thing you're getting wheeled about the place. But it's not like that.
None of them were in the Admiral in the first launch in Scotland, that's for sure.
I was in it, but I can't find a job.
Exactly. That's why it was so hard. No, I know. But it's been great. I mean, it's been, I can't have no complaints at all.
Excellent. Great stuff, man. Great stuff.
Next stop, we take the world.
That's it.
Okay.
No horses back.
So, Harper, what about your calendar? What's happening?
Well, I don't want to put it on a negative too much for Paul, but I'm pretty disappointed, man.
Are you?
Aye.
Well, I'm a wee bit disappointed with our listeners. I don't want to go too much in there, but with 2,000 downloads last week, and we sold 3 calendars to HomeBhoys listeners. So
come on now.
That was being joke.
No, I wasn't counting you. I wasn't counting you and John. I've only sold 18 online, and most of them have came through actually the New York Cosmos group on Facebook and stuff like that, and a few have gone to America, to the Bronx, and to Pennsylvania, and to Brooklyn, but there's only 3 strangers that are strangers to me bought the calendar. Now, it's only a tenner sterling, 12.50 euros, right?
Every penny. Every penny. Sorry.
You know when you're talking about hard work, I can't emphasise how much hard work went into this. Not by myself so much, but my wife and all the models and the photographers all gave their time up for free. I mean, to try and get this out and done in time to get for December was phenomenal effort, everybody involved, and it's all going to the Kano Foundation, it's all going to Alzheimer's Society here in Drogheda. So, I mean, for all the, what is this podcast number, 107?
107, yeah.
That's just us. I mean, all the podcasts you get in Hill Media, just throw us a tenner for it, and you'll get a calendar. It's not even like, you know.
You're not getting us a tenner for nothing.
People go out with buckets, right, and their bucket collections for different charities, and that's great. I always fling some change in the bucket and that, right? But I think we're always, even like the Lost Boys books, the history podcasts, we're trying to give you something for your money. It's not like we're just saying I gave some money for charity. You're actually getting something good for it. And as I say, a tenner sterling, 12.50, and that's it delivered to your door. I don't know, man. I'd like to see a few more sales. So if anybody out there wants to help out the Kano Foundation and the Alzheimer's Society, go to hailhailmedia.com. You'll see the banner at the top that has also the Kano dance. If you click on the banner for the calendar, it'll take you in, and there's PayPal, Pay Now buttons, and it'll be in the post to you the next day. And listen, I'm not saying you've got to do it, but I'd like to see a few more sales, just because I told all the boys in the club, I didn't worry about it, the HomeBhoys listeners, they'll buy them all. You know what I mean? I'm going back there and I'm like, I sold 3. I was a wee bit embarrassed. Just to tell the truth. So
it takes 10 to catch on.
Just a wee bit of support.
Buy a calendar, and trust me, just flip to September, which is the Hail Media month, and just pretend it's September all year.
Someday,
Rachel's beautiful.
That's right, on the huddle board. Chuck put a thread up on the huddle board last week, right? And one of the guys for the boat was a boy for Derry. I can't remember his name on the huddle board, and he says he obviously thinks Joe Harper is one person, right? And he says, Chuck, is Joe Harper really married to Miss September?
That's right. I told everybody in the boat that she was my wife.
The thing is that, to be honest with you, there may be a few guys under the thumb that can't buy it.
Some guys say that to me. Some guys say that to me in the boat. One guy said to me in the boat, he goes, I couldn't bring that home. And I looked at him and I said, nobody's in love with you. Nobody's in love with you, mate. Right? Don't worry about it. Okay?
No, I mean, just buy it and give it away to somebody. There's about to be something that probably you can get to a son. I don't know. Just all I'm asking for is a tenner.
Stick it up in your work.
We didn't ask for a lot.
Stick it up in your work, unless you coach your work in a mixed.
Buy it and send it to a zombie for their Christmas.
Yay! It's they need all the pleasure they can get.
Show them what good women look like, because they'll not see many.
Hey, can I just go back to you, if it's alright? Everybody go and buy a calendar, right? What I was going to get to bring up was the carry on with the banner last week.
Hang on for a one second.
Thank you, that's okay. That's okay to bring that up.
I'll go for it, mate. Open forum.
Also, I just thought it was fuck all wrong. Don't get me wrong. Came home last week after the game. I was that much fucking pissed off with the result. I would only put some of my country records on to cheer me up, fuck. You know, but when they heard all this shite, again, people falling for a piss at Celtic came out with, were inundated with complaints. Fucking 55 people. 55. You know, and everybody's all going mental on this banner. The banner was brilliant. It wasn't asking me to support one or the other. It was showing you 2 world icons whether the Huns like it or no. And what do you think? This is what they're called. This is what the two of them have been called. You know, and what do you think it? And that's all it was doing. And they went fucking, obviously we all know what happened, but I'm just wondering what you all think of it.
I'll go first. I thought it was brilliant. I thought bigots would be offended by it. I thought the message it got across was succinct, right to the point, and I've made my point known in this show before that I don't agree with singing rebel songs at Celtic games. I think they've had their day, and I just don't agree with it. It doesn't do anything for the players and whatever. But in a free country, at the end of the day, who's saying? I mean, the club plays this land as your land over the tannoy. Do you know what I mean? So I've got issues with that as well. So they're very hypocritical. I'd still defend the Celtic supporters' right to sing them if they want to sing them. That's fine. But I thought the banner was fantastic because Celtic fans are getting criminalised for singing songs about their heritage and where their forefathers came from. And there's bigots in Scotland have got a problem with people of Irish descent and Irish people in general. So I think the banner just highlighted perfectly what Celtic fans are up against the police and against bigots in this country. And I thought it was perfect. So that's my point of view.
That over it tells you the banner worked.
Yep.
I didn't think this. I mean, this. I've had so many people say that, well, you shouldn't be doing it in Champions League and all this kind of thing. It's like, you know, and you should be doing it at Parliament. And it's like, well, the people who say you should be doing it at Parliament, I didn't see anybody stopping them doing it at Parliament. They can go and do it if they want, you know. I mean, I think it was a pertinent question. I mean, I think, you know, I'm deeply offended by the fact the way they've tried to criminalise Bobby Sands and demonise Bobby Sands, and yet William Wallace is a hero and all this kind of thing, and so on and so forth. And I think the thing that pisses me off most about it is the fact that I said it to people at Celtic last week, you'll never tell me this line that tells me Celtic are not a political football club. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. You know, for our foundations to the fact that we've got Lord Livingston and Parkhead on the board and all this crap.
John Reid.
You know, exactly. I mean, do you think John Reid would have been a Celtic chairman if he was also the Home Secretary? I mean, he's a wreck.
Being a Celtic fan shaped my politics.
Yes, of course.
Do you know what I mean? Being a Celtic fan shaped a lot of my politics, the way I grew up. The people I listened to growing up, going and standing in the jungle, going on the buses, the various things that made me a Republican, an Irish Republican as well, to a certain extent, if you like. I'm a member of the Bobby Sands, the Hunger Strikes Society here in Drogheda. I mean, being a Celtic fan shaped my politics. Whether people like that or they don't like that, that's a fact.
And you're not a Catholic either.
I think qualifying that as well, Harper. But if MD thinks they're supporting Celtic, you're helping to free Ireland, you're seriously deluded.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You're supporting Celtic.
No.
But I'd just like to qualify this. You're saying Celtic shaped this, shaped that. To me, it's over-encompassing part of growing up. You know, growing up for like an Irish Catholic background and things like that for your forefathers. It's something that I would never be ashamed of. You know, I wouldn't say it's something that makes me better than anyone else. It's just partly a fluke of nature, but it's something that's what Celtic Football Club was formed. The reason it was formed, and that's what it was formed to help feed the poor Irish Catholics in East End of Glasgow, and it's something we should never forget. But the thing for me is, see, the board has got that much of a problem with it. Come out and say in black and white what they've got a problem with. Come out and denounce Irish republicanism. Come out and denounce what they don't want us to do and what they want us to do. Tell us in black and white, and then nobody's in any two. I mean, nobody can get confused. But I'd like to go back. I thought the banner of the week before was equally brilliant when it quoted the words out of the Flower of Scotland.
Yeah.
You know, it was fantastic.
Can I just say about the H the week before? The SPL, or whatever it fucking is looking at it. But just to say, that was an H to support Hearts. That's all it was. Know what I mean? But can I just say that a couple of things I've had in my mind, and I've been on, I think it was Tommy, the taxi driver's website, and what I was saying was, the UEFA again, hypocrites talking about, they're no looking at it as being, oh, it's Bobby Sands or whatever. They're looking at it as political. But you look at the Croatian fascist nationalists, right? The Serbian nationalists, you look at, even the Basque teams have done it, the Catalonian teams, they've all done it in Europe. It's been political ban.
Barcelona have got an away strip that represents the Catalonian national flag.
Aye.
You know, they take the flag, the Catalonian freedom flag, to every one of their home games. It's displayed all around about the stadium.
Aye,
Do you know what I mean?
I think the difference in this country is you've got the bigots coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Just my point. It offends bigots.
Right, now, the thing I was always saying about the daft, and I said Tommy's thing I pointed out, these daft loyalists, what they don't remember, or they put it in the back of their mind is, most of the loyalists in that prison at that time supported the hunger strikers, and even before it, the prison protest. There was loyalist prisoners on protest themselves, but they never get backing off the people outside for the leadership, because it was seen being in cahoots with the IRA and the INLA, right? Now, they go what the Republican prisoners died for. They go to demands, but they all go to it, you know. So we can't turn around and say blah blah blah. They go to the same fucking thing, you know. And the Republicans didn't bother, but I use our political prisoners and all you're in here because the political situation in Ireland at that time, you can get it and all, and they don't seem to see the same fucking thing.
But it's like see all that kind of stuff, James. You don't really want to get into political history here. It's supporting a football team, but
I'm just making that point.
I know, but I think Celtic fans getting criminalised for singing songs which is about part of their heritage. I think the banners showed it up for what it is.
Oh, I see someone else I was listening to the Half the World Away podcast in the long Saturday. I was listening to playback. And they were obviously talking about this, like, knowing how they're saying there's to be no politics in football and that, like, you know. The SNP have banners advertising boardings at 3 Scottish Premier League grounds. They actually, SNP, pay for advertising to advertise their political party at 3 Scottish Premier League grounds.
And the Green Brigade were advertising one of their biggest icons, William Wallace. So what's the problem?
But can see if we just boil it down to the bureaucratic minimum? It's like the Green Brigade had a picture of an elected member of Parliament.
Listen, see what it boils down to, Joe, right? See if, and the boys said this in the Australian podcast as well, see if you'd replace Bobby Sands with Che Guevara or somebody else like that.
No problem.
There would have been no problem. It's all to do with because it's Irish, bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course it is.
That's it. It's bigots.
Yeah.
And the only places would have been an issue is in Scotland or in certain parts of the North Island. End story. Nowhere in the world would it have even been an issue.
No, not at all.
And what did people think of Celtic? Obviously, Jason's hat on a bit and that they should be coming out and saying, you know, but to me, they have their come out and, I mean, they were quick with a statement. And they were even quicker than the fucking Amsterdam incident with a statement. And it was just a total joke to hear the reaction. But then again, as I said, it was bigots that were on it right away. I mean, 55, inundated, 55, and I'd like to know how many of them weren't even Celtic fans.
Right.
I know. Aye, fair point, you know, but the Celtic board need to start doing things in black and white. Stop skipping the issue. See if you want rid of Irish republicanism at Celtic Park, come out and tell everybody.
Yeah, tell people.
Just come out and make a statement and say, right, we don't want any Irish republicanism at Celtic Park. Just say it, but they're frightened.
But
they can't come out, they skip round the issue.
Listen, as you say, they're playing songs there, the tannoy.
Aye.
Yeah,
that's all they're doing, singing.
Jason, see, one of the reasons I told you I was also in a great mood for a change, and it was just because of the result. I'm not bothered. See, they'd come out and say, right, that's it, we've had enough of you, the fans want you shut down, we're shutting you down in the section. It wouldn't have bothered me, honest. I was so at ease because I knew the banner was right, the banners were just, and it wouldn't have bothered me one bit. And that's me being honest with you. I was relaxed with it. I would be I'd be relaxed, and I was comfortable with it, knowing that the people who done the banner, Green Brigade, and the people support us in the section like myself, that it was just, and it wouldn't have bothered me one bit. And knowing that the bigots get fucking wound up, because that's all they can fucking do.
I know. So it's, at the end of the day, just come out and make your stands. Come out and tell the fans what you want. You know, just come out and just make a stand and say, look, the time's gone for all this kind of stuff. We don't need this any longer. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Can I just step in with something completely off topic here, right? I just want to say to Arthur Rusk, right? Arthur Rusk, who's in, he's in Glasgow. I don't know, obviously got his address it. But he's just bought a calendar. He's obviously listening to the show. So Arthur, thank you very much. And seeing as you're the one that stepped up to the plate there, I'm going to stick a wee pin badge on me.
Yay!
How does that grab you? There you go.
A cuddly toy. It's Bruce Forsyth, the Hill Media. Give us the vote. I hear, by the way, since we're making announcements, I got a message there from Deck Hanlon saying he's organising a CSC meetup for all East Coast CSCs, obviously in America.
Canada.
Well,
he's in Canada.
But you haven't heard the rest of the message, so relax, right? On January 17th and 19th for the Motherwell game in Philadelphia at the Playboy CSC, which is at the Play on the Stars pub in Philadelphia. It's the home of Seamus Cummins, and the home of my old roommate, John Joe Devlin, who is the barman there. The home of the Rangers Blue Coffin as well.
That's just a new club, isn't it?
It's just started there the past few months, yeah.
Right.
So I used to hang around, and I lived in John Joe's old place and with his old roommates in Florida for about 3 months. So he's the king of Philadelphia, in fairness. Anyway, are we almost done here?
And just one thing. We shout out to the goal. Is it the boys in the Gold Coast, Australia? They're organising a get together as well. Probably the best way to get details is to check out the Half the World Away podcast. It's going to be the Surfers Paradise, but or at half. Is it half the World 88 on Twitter? I can't remember exactly. That's terrible. But if you check out the Half the World Away podcast, you've got all the details. They're having a big meet up in Australia. I think it's in March sometime. But check that out. And that's going to be a good one as well.
They'll need to shorten that in. No, it's a good show. Enjoy listening to the boys. But one other thing, obviously the Kano dance.
Yes,
the tickets are going like hotcakes. Basically, I went on a wee bit of a purge yesterday and started texting everybody saying I can't get rid of about another 7 tables or something yesterday. So I don't think there's that many left, to be honest with you guys. So if anybody's want to book tables, I know there was 50 tables. I think it's near 40s away now. I don't know. I'll need to speak to Tommy till we get them. So there's definitely not much left. And I know a couple of folk had said to me they'll go to the supporters clubs and that. So you better get a move on, guys, because
Morris is booked, is it?
Yours is booked, aye. The boys is booked, and you're at our table. But as I say, they're going like hotcakes. So if you want to get to the top Celtic event of the season, you better get in quick, guys.
Here, is our table secured then, or what?
Yeah, come on.
I know, but it's fun.
Your table's a fucking bar. And the fucking behind the bar.
That'll be me and you sitting side by side, James.
Well, see, the thing is, I'll need to say to Tommy's they kept his A5 seats because also I booked him. I'm sure
he will have done, James. Aye.
I mean, well, I'm going to have to. I'll get the money for just after Christmas.
Aye, no worries.
Actually, I'd rather get it paid now, but people's obviously tight with money than now.
I know. But definitely know that. But as I say, I think there might be about 10 tables left.
And we should make mention of the...
There's definitely between 30 and 40 away. I think it's nearer the 40 mark. It might even be more by now. But as I say, get in quick if you want to be there. I know I'm waiting a couple of folk. A load of my mates, they've already secured their tables. So everybody that said to me, you want a table, that's secured. But I know a couple were humming and hawing and trying to get numbers back. So get back to me ASAP.
Tell you what, that's what, it's 4 months away, more or less.
Aye.
One Direction aren't selling tickets that fast.
March the 29th. For the price and what's an offer and that, it's some deal. You know, and my mates from Ireland, they're coming over as well. They get hold of me the day, so they're booking their flights. And I know my good mate Aidzo for there and go Brabus. I need to get him. I need to remind him before his bus is coming over to the Hibs game, so he'll probably take a couple of tables as well.
So Aidzo last week,
if we get to 40, I'll keep Aidzo too anyway. But no, that's it. Nothing else to add, guys.
Right, that's going to be something. And by the way, we should mention that if you're going to the dance, you can get a special rate in the rooms.
Aye. They're normally, I think they're 120. But that's 120. It's a hell of a lot of money. There's tons of hotels in the vicinity that'll be cheaper. Do you know what I mean? But it's a 5-star hotel. They're 120 quid. But if you contact us, we can get it for 120 with breakfast. So that's, don't know. It's a bit cheaper. But as I say, there's loads of hotels. It's right bang in the centre of Glasgow. You know, there's loads of hotels, so you don't need to fork out 120. But if you're feeling flush and it's 4 months away and you want a wee 5-star experience, there you go.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Gary Harper's just bought a calendar, so thanks, Gary. You're obviously listening as well.
Keep them coming.
There you go.
Right.
Somebody put up there, Glasgow Road put up that most fellas can't buy a calendar stick up in their house. Going like, what?
Well, Jim Haddle says he's going to stick it up in the cupboard, so just he sees it when he looks.
There you go.
Stick it behind I don't know, your bookshelf or
My
something.
word to you, mister, is grow a set.
And by the way, just a wee thing we added, if you go onto that blog on Hail Media, we've added a wee video as well. A videographer done of the shoots.
With a crack.
That should help you along with buying one.
With a great wee song as well.
Jason hated it, Joe loved it.
I like that.
I forgot to say that to you, Jason. Joe sent a message. Been listening to that song all day, absolutely love it.
I thought it was brilliant. That was good.
Aye. Joe, he's just an old one.
He doesn't know about music.
I know. Right, I'm bolting, guys.
Me too.
Right, listen to that. Anyway, good night, folks. Appreciate this. Thanks very much for listening. James, you still there?
Yeah.
Say good night, mate.
Good night, mate.
Jason.
Good night, mate.
Harper. Oh, ciao, baby. Hello, folks. We appreciate it. Good night.
Paul.
What?
Paul.
Is Paul there?
I'm here, eh?
Oh, Jesus, Paul. For some reason, I thought, that's a problem, Paul. You haven't been on for weeks. I forgot you were there.
Like that, who needs
Aye, brain cells.
Sayonara.
Ireland's first brain donor.
It's getting late. Right, good luck, lads.
Easily after that.
Yeah.
Read the roll of honour for Ireland's bravest men. We must be united in memory of the 10. England, you're a monster. Don't think that you have won. We will never be defeated while Ireland has such sons. The dreary H-block cages where brave young Irishmen lay, hungering for justice while their young lives ebbed away, for the rights of Irish soldiers to flee their native land. They stood beside their leader, the gallant Bobby Sands. Read the roll of honour for Ireland's bravest men. We must be united in memory of the 10. England, you're a monster. Don't think that you have won. We will never be defeated while Ireland has such sons. Francis Hughes and old Balahi, Ray McCreesh from Armagh Hills, in the narrow streets of Derry, they miss O'Hara still. They so proudly gave their young lives to break Britannia's hold. Their names shall be remembered as history unfolds. Through the war-torn streets of Ulster, the black flags that proudly wave to salute the Irish martyrs, the bravest of the brave. Joe MacDonald, Martin Horson, Kevin Lynch, Kieran Doherty. They gave their lives for freedom with Thomas McAwee. Leave the roll of honour for Ireland's bravest men. We must be united in memory of the 10. England, you're a monster. Don't think that you have won. We will never be defeated while Ireland has its sons. Michael Devine from Derry, you were the last to die. When your 9 brave companions with the martyrs they did lie, your souls cry out, remember, our deaths were not in vain. You fought to make our homeland a nation once again. Read the roll of honour for Ireland's bravest men. We must be united in memory of the 10. England, you're a monster. Don't think that you have won. We will never be defeated while Ireland has its sons.